Am I the a-hole for not reconciling with my father after I was framed for theft? By him? Framing your family for crimes? Well, this story is to help answer the question, how should you deal with stealing between family members? Very interesting. This comes from Throwaway 832-402. It says, throwaway because my brother is a Redditor and I am 23 and a male. You can't be using your real username at 23 male.
No,
Can't
sir.
do it. I am the middle child of my parents, 54 male and 53 female, and I have an older sister, 25, and a younger brother, 19. I've been living with my family for 5 years with the very bare minimum of contact because right around the time I turned 15, my dad's stuff started disappearing from his room. He has a pocket knife collection filled with different knives that he has collected from the US, and some of them are pretty decently valuable, not worth like several grand or anything, but those would probably fetch a few $100. That's not nothing.
That ain't nothing.
For one, that's crazy.
That ain't chump change.
That ain't chump change. He also has a collection of baseball cards and autographed baseballs. These items would vanish from his room and end up in my room, and each time I got punished for it. And each time was more severe than the last. With what evidence? With what proof?
Prove it.
Do we have an unreliable narrator? I don't know. We're too early. We're too early to know. I was looked at by my entire immediate family as a thief for 3 years, even though I constantly pleaded my innocence to them.
Ooh.
We need to take it to, dude, can you imagine going
Courts.
to like a civil court against your own father? Because this is like...
People do.
Because OP is 15, so nearing that, I think there's like a flexibility on the adults, age for like certain cases. And it's like probably at this point, thousands, if not $10,000+ worth of items.
Yeah.
So that seems like he could take his own father to court at 15 or 16 years old.
Whoa.
I hope that's in an update. I missed out on a few vacations. Didn't have a 17th birthday celebration at all. Didn't get my driver's license or a car until after I moved out. And I didn't have a job and had no way to save money aside from past birthdays and odd chores around my neighborhood. Dude, his own dad is icing him out.
That's wild.
This is too much. I remember my dad and mom telling me how much of a disappointment I was.
Oh my God.
And that they wouldn't be surprised if I end up in the local news as a robbery suspect or worse. My extended family wasn't much help either and saw me in the same light. It got so bad to the point where I was genuinely worried if I was actually stealing and not remembering at all. Oh my God.
Wait, they're gaslighting him?
Dude, either through some kind of mental struggle or doing it in my sleep or anything. Conspiracy theory. I think that maybe they're claiming, and maybe what if they're like claiming insurance on it or something like that.
Oh my God. They're trying to make him take the fall. They're trying to scapegoat him.
And could you imagine if that's what they were doing? They were literally ruining his young, these years
Young
are so
life,
important.
yeah.
The teenage, like late teenage, early 20s. I don't like this.
Would you, if your child were actually stealing from you, how would you go about punishing or dealing with that?
Great question. Not this. I would do.
Seems bad.
I would do things like. This is off the top of my head, and maybe I'll think about it more, and we'll kind of like discuss it throughout the episode. But I think maybe like Xbox. Okay, get that out of there.
We sell it.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. Free time with friends, but like, hey, here's your car, so you can go work and do this stuff. I still love you. Like, I think my love for, like, they are actually what the parents are saying right here is their love for their child is worth a few $1,000s.
Yeah.
They're literally saying that a few $1,000s.
And also not believing him too.
And also not believing him.
Yeah.
Like I very much, because like in the grand scheme of things, I'm sorry. Like I get maybe some of the baseball cards or mementos and like things of that. Like
I forgot this was over baseball cards.
It's a knife collection, baseballs and baseball cards from what I know. So I'm like, I'm sorry. My child is more important than any object on planet Earth.
Yeah.
Point blank, period.
Yeah. I don't know, especially if it's a 15-year-old. I think that there are different steps that you can go about dealing with.
Who knows what the 15-year-old is going through?
Yeah.
Like truly, like it could be anything.
And in this case, he hasn't even done it. He hasn't even done this.
But
we'll get back to the story. But John, remember when you tortured me by making me export a 24-hour-long video?
Oh, the intern days. Yeah.
I hated that.
Yeah.
But now, but the little piece that I love doing it for the people,
yeah.
I've decided that we should release a 3-hour-long video every single day for them.
That's so generous of you, Riley.
I know that we do it once a week already on our YouTube channel, so
But it's not enough.
It's definitely not enough.
So you're telling me you're going to stay up all night exporting months worth of 3-hour videos?
Oh, not just me. It's going to be me, Keon, and Dakota. Not Sophia. But every single night, exporting 3-hour-long videos just for you guys.
Riley respects women. Only men will be exporting these.
That's right.
So if you want to go check them out, go to YouTube, search OK Storytime Compilations for daily 3-hour compilation videos. All right, let's get back to the story. Earlier this week, I got a call from my mom, and my dad had noticed that his things started disappearing again without me being there.
Well.
And finally had the bright idea of setting up a camera in the hall. Why didn't you do that before? Oh my God. Dude.
Dude.
Put a camera in the first time.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You don't. Oh, I really hate the parents right now.
They suck.
They do. So where my brother was caught taking stuff and putting them in my sister's old room.
What is this? He's just framing all of his family?
What is happening right now?
Also, just because maybe I wasn't quite clear on this.
Yes.
The brother allegedly, proven, was putting stuff in OP's room, correct?
The brother was taking it and seemingly hiding it in the sister's room.
No. But at the beginning of the story, was hiding it in OP's room to frame him.
I don't even know if they put it in his room.
Would vanish from his room and end up in my room.
Ah, okay. I forgot that part.
Just to be clear, none of this stuff actually was sold or they got it back. They got it back. It was just in his room. And this is how they're treating him? I'm sorry, even if he was doing this,
the actual harm hasn't
nothing happened. It was just in his room. Do you know how many times that Sam or I have taken our parents' stuff or borrowed our parents' stuff and put it in our room?
Yeah.
As kids, all the time. Sam said many times.
Yeah, this
isn't stealing. This is putting something in your room.
Yeah, one last point before getting back to the story. I am a firm believer in once you get into the real world, talk about the actual consequences.
Yeah.
So the fact they didn't lose thousands of dollars worth of things they spent. They lost nothing. So to me,
they're just losing their kids.
Talk about it. To me, I'm if you maybe there's if he is stealing it and hiding in the room, okay, whatever. But the fact that it wasn't the same, and to inverse the scenario, a kid could crash a car or get into a car accident totally by accident.
Yeah.
But also maybe you're hey, maybe you need some more time to become a safer driver.
Yes.
Before I'll get you a new car, help you get a car, something like that. So it goes both ways because there's real world of consequences of I can't just keep putting you in danger to get crashed. I can't keep buying you cars that you're just going to wreck. Even if you're quote unquote innocent.
Yeah.
We have to think about the
real
real world
consequences.
The real world consequences, because that's how real life works. And I hate parents who just invent things to punish kids over.
Yeah.
Because they think that's, I'm no, what? Teach them about real, the real world. Because sometimes it ultimately doesn't matter.
Raises your insurance.
Boom.
It can hurt someone else in the other car.
Yes.
If there's, an injury.
Yourself.
Yeah. In this scenario, items were moved from one room to another in the same house.
Hey, Sophia. I'm just going to say it's you because I'm going to just go off of no proof. You moved my green powder pack because I stupidly forgot to put it away, and now you're fired.
Damn.
Yeah. You took an item that I had and you moved it to another place. That's unacceptable.
That's stealing.
Can I be honest?
Theft.
You know what? That's murder.
John, you know what they say?
What?
Theft is a crime.
You know what? Theft is a crime. Don't pirate. But
Oh Lord, you know what? I'm like I realized I didn't fully comprehend what happened in the beginning, and then when I made that realization of like none of this stuff was actually stolen.
how ridiculous is this?
This is so stupid.
I'm glad you pointed out that.
Yeah.
I also didn't realize this.
So stupid.
But Sophia, we are far from over here.
Honestly, I don't even blame the brother who's doing it.
Right? Dude, I would steal from these loser parents. My God, they deserve it. But so back to the story. OP says, my mom told me about that and then said that she and my dad both apologized for not believing me and they would have me over for her birthday dinner to catch up. Too little, too late. But we'll see what happens.
Too late.
I asked her what her plan was for my brother's punishment was, and she got confused. Punishment? I asked her again and reminded her that I was forced to miss out on a birthday, multiple vacations, and my driver's license at 16. She said my dad took his phone for a week and his video games for a month. Problem solved. Problem solved.
I hate these parents.
I lost it on her and berated them for treating me way worse while I was being framed for being a thief, while the actual thief only had his phone confiscated. Oh, and his freaking PlayStation. Wow, don't forget that. I then said that I will not be attending any events with them in the future, and I said, you guys can go F yourselves. I hung up and blocked her number. I then got a call later from my sister who told me, while my rage is justified, my mother is inconsolable and has locked herself in our parents' bedroom. Am I the a-hole? We have relevant comments, and we have an update, and more relevant comments. Wow. Oh, and another update. My God. And more relevant comments.
Woo!
And another update.
Woo!
Okay, this is a long story, so let's take a very quick pause here. So what do you think?
No.
The parents, without a doubt, are huge, massive a-holes.
Yeah.
And terrible parents.
Yes.
I was debating in my head because I was like, OP being like, go. So I do believe that.
I do
declare that probably the parents' behavior will and would have continued in the same way, and maybe they are like, if they're given a chance, quote unquote, and OP's like, listen, you need to understand how effed up this is and what terrible parents you were to me.
Yeah.
Like truly awful. Maybe the hero move is to sit them down and say that and be direct and be like, here's what you need to do to, I don't even know if you can't make this up. You can't.
Yeah.
But here's what you can do to try to be better and to have me in your lives. That's the hero move. What I'm debating in my head right now is if it's worth being like,
but I
giving
will
them the
say
chance.
it's been 5 years of this.
It's been 5 years and this is fresh. Like OP is 23 and it was going on for this whole 5 year.
Yeah.
Actually, wait, the first one was from 15.
Yes, he was 15. Oh, wait.
15 to 23. Because right around 15, my dad's stuff started disappearing from his room.
Oh, living away from my family. Okay.
Oh, yes. Living away. I might have missaid that. So my bad, guys. But so he's been living away, of course, because he's like, I can't deal with you guys.
So this has been happening for longer than 5 years.
And correct me if I'm wrong, they continue to blame him, but despite him being moved out, it seems, right? Holy.
Well, it seems it might have stopped and then it started up again.
And then they blamed him again.
Yeah.
Until they actually finally put the cameras in.
Yes.
So it was, you know what it was? It was the, because like he said, like, oh, everyone in the family, like the rumor just kept like snowballing after the fact with the extended family. And like, it seemed like even without more things disappearing, it just gained more and more momentum and kind of like stonewalled him from his entire family in a way because they all believed he was a cheater. So I
that's like 9 years of this treatment.
Yeah.
I honestly think he's so warranted in what he said.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even want, I don't think I would want to have a relationship with these parents.
Yeah, I'm really struggling because I think that they deserve it. You know, doing this to a child is, in my opinion, traumatizing. And like they're going
at 15 years old.
At 15 years old.
To the point that he left.
Literally. He left 5 years ago, so he left when he was 18. He left like
he left immediately.
He left immediately, like as soon as he legally could as a legal adult. So yeah, I think I'll say no, especially for now, because I will say the hero move would have been to, again, sit the parents down and maybe give them one more chance now that they realize it.
But the thing is that this wasn't a serious enough situation to warrant that reaction.
Absolutely, especially as a kid and all that.
Like, let's say they thought he had stolen thousands of dollars worth of stuff, sold it, and yeah, like that was the situation. Maybe that, like, I don't know. I still don't think this reaction, but like maybe something like a little harsher reaction would make sense.
Like a punishment.
And then maybe like some sort of punishment.
Yeah.
And then they realize, like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, we shouldn't have blamed you. But in this scenario, nothing was gone forever. It was simply moved, and he was treated poorly for 9 years, to the point where he literally moved away from his family. I don't think they deserve. If he does not want to maintain a relationship with them, I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's fair. Janene says, if I was a crappy parent, I'm going to be crappy equally. So it's like, like it.
Well, that's the thing. He was like, you sucked for me, so you better make it suck for my brother.
Yeah, exactly. Like at the barest of minimums, let's not be a hypocrite and like give him, similar drastically harsh treatment that the brother had. I mean, I don't know. What do you think, Sam?
I think the brother, equal treatment for equal siblings.
Ooh, that's a spicy take.
Spiciest take that I know.
Spicy as that fresh, sweet haircut you got going on over there.
Haircut.
Looking
Me
crispy,
too.
sir. Wow, everyone's got haircuts except for
Your
me.
haircut looks good.
That's not that different. It's just my being.
Do you need a little TLDR? Welcome, by the way.
No, I'll just go in blind.
Great. Literally said F you to the parents, blocked, going no contact. Done.
I mean, I
Relationship over.
think that you had the right to do that probably when they were
8 years ago.
8 years ago.
Yeah.
But now the hypocrisy that has been exposed makes me even
more on that side.
Also, OP said that it got to the point where he thought he was doing it.
Yes.
Like, he was like, I thought I was sleepwalking.
Like the family was like, essentially, because like everyone in his life as of 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old, you're like, am I? Like you just lose, Opie was losing touch with reality because of all this. It was crazy. But ladies and gentlemen, this story is far from over. Let's go. Let's get into some relevant comments. So, commenter says, I think OP should point out to his sister that the brother was trying to do the same thing to her, to frame her as a thief and have her punished, which is a great point. OP said, which was an even wider move because I forgot to clarify that she just moved out of that house a yearish after I did. Commenter said, wait, sorry, I'm not following. Your brother tried to frame your sister for theft when she wasn't even in the house. OP says, yeah, it was very dumb and idiotic move on his part. Have no clue what he was thinking. Jail or not for the brother? Do we throw him in prison?
The idiot brother that is trying to
How old is this boy?
throw people under the bus.
He is, as of today, the brother is currently 19 years old. OP is 23.
Why do they like this idiot so
so when
much?
this started, he was 9.
8 years ago. 10.
10. Okay.
11.
Okay, so wait.
11?
He basically pulled this prank.
Yeah, this sounds like a 10-year-old prank.
Yeah. Maybe he didn't realize.
But then he pulled it again at 19.
Well, okay, yeah, no. He sounds like stupid. But like going back at 10 years old, a little boy pulls a prank. He puts his dad's baseball collection in his brother's room, and he's like, oh my God, get my brother in trouble. His brother is like starts having everything taken away from him. His parents are going like full force. And then this little 10-year-old boy is like, oh my God, I can never tell them that I did this.
Maybe he's just lived with this guilt for so long.
But then he did it again.
Yeah, which it negates the point.
Yeah.
But I'm just
I
saying
say prison for the 11-year-old. Hashtag prison for the 11-year-old.
Prison for kids. Why
Yes,
don't we
prison
have
for kids.
Yeah,
Come
I
on.
think we need real prison. Yeah, but I want real prison for kids.
Interesting.
Where they have to like work on license plates and stuff.
I'm fully on board. I want a prison just for this kid.
Just for this kid. Solitary confinement for this child.
Put him in adult prison. Put this 11-year-old in prison with the adults. That's my stance, and I'm not changing it. That's my stance, and I'm not changing it.
Damn, what do you...
Ooh,
What,
Sam-
I said what I said.
Sam Hyatt says, for the brother, it was probably just a prank, but once he saw how much he could get away with, it continued as a malicious act. Yeah.
Ooh.
That's
Great
interesting.
point.
Yeah, I was looking at the first scenario because the second scenario of him doing it at 19 is like, why are you doing this? Something's up with you. But
Wait,
the first
quick-
scenario,
Knowing what happened.
Somewhat related question.
Yes.
If you get tried as an adult, do you go to real prison?
Yes, that's why they try. Yeah.
Or do you just get real prison consequences?
I
No,
wonder.
trying as an adult,
so if you're a
put into
10-year-old and are
Yeah.
tried as an adult,
you get put into.
you get put into
yeah.
real prison
But I
with
thi-
like giants?
From my understanding,
Maybe I'm crazy.
with
Maybe it's
Hagrid. Hey, Harry, how'd you get in the old clink, my boy?
What's Hagrid doing?
I'm a what? You're a convict, Harry.
You're a criminal. Don't
Okay,
drop
maybe-
the soap, Harry.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Jelba
was-
says no. You go to real prison.
What? You go to real prison?
I don't know for sure. Maybe if someone on the comments
That's
has.
crazy. Imagine a 10-year-old in prison
Well,
with
I
you.
think-
That's why it's crazy.
I think generally speaking, you try like a 15-year-old who did some like super heinous mass.
Yeah.
pew, pew, pew. That's where it's like trying someone as an adult because it's like so like
So
gross
bad.
and so bad and so like it's what a
Yeah, I thought it was no. Okay, yeah. Ja Nene says no. They go to kid jail until 18 and then are transferred.
if
So you get real.
okay.
So like I think
Yeah.
with a lot of crimes, it's like, oh, once you turn 18, then you get all of it expunged. But if you're tried as an adult, it stays with you. I think.
And I was also wondering. I
But you
wonder
could-
if they changed the like if the crime is so heinous, maybe they do put a 17-year-old in a adult.
Well, I know
prison.
that there have been instances where 14-year-olds were tried as adults, and then I'm trying to think of a word. Say it.
Everyone's saying it's juvie till 18.
They had the death penalty at 14 because they were tried as an adult.
Oh,
Yeah.
Do they go to death row?
I mean, literally.
Presumably, I think
Yeah.
everyone. has the death
Sheesh.
penalty.
Anyway, so death row for this 11-year-old.
Just prison for life. See, I'm
No.
fair.
Wait,
I'm
no.
fair.
My point wasn't that was good. My point is that was bad. They
just-
were also innocent, so it
I'm
was
just
very
pro
bad.
putting the 11-year-old in prison with adults. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Very simple.
Yeah.
Very, yes, of course.
What?
It's a very fair verdict.
Okay,
Very fair.
These are
Someone
I
clip
completely
that
disagree.
and post it on
I
TikTok.
stand by what I said. Well, let's get into the rest of these relevant comments. So, info from the commenter. Tell me more about your brother. What was your relationship with him when he was 9 to 11 years old, when around this happened? And you were a teen before everything started. What is he doing now? Is he in college, university? Does he have a job, or is he just a moocher? Opie says he's in college as far as I know. Our relationship was never bad at all, which shocked me more than anything.
They were like friends.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, let me just ruin your life. Another commenter says, I don't understand. I think your parents took the phone away from him as a form of punishment. This is something done to a high schooler, a child, a person 18 and under still in high school. Opie says he still lives at home for free as far as I know. It's ridiculous and utter BS. And we have our next update coming up. But yeah, I think
I want to hear this update. I sat right in the middle of this story, so
It's
I'm
a
still
juicy
warming
one.
up to the idea of adult prison for kids. But maybe I'll be on your side by
I'm
the end.
warming up
convince
to it.
I will
Also, Sophia,
convince you.
your mic is in focus.
Yeah, I realized that like right after.
I did not even notice.
Got eagle eyes.
Well, ladies and gentlemen,
Hey.
Look great, Fia.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have an update. We'll see if this 11-year-old gets to go to prison or not. So, my sister, who I call T for simplicity, called me about an hour ago as of the time I'm writing this and apologized for what she told me. Wow. Crazy timing. Me and her have been very close ever since I moved out, and she has been known to step up and apologize when she's in the wrong. No hard feelings towards her at all. At least OP has one person.
That's
in
a
his
great
corner.
thing to be known for.
That is very true.
Unless it's like, yeah, she's always effing up. So she's always stepping up and apologizing. Like,
Sorry, guys.
sorry, I backed over your child, but hey, you know, I'm that person.
I'm holding myself accountable.
I hold my, yeah, exactly.
As far as my parents go, my mother had an overnight epiphany, according to my sister T. She ended up kicking out my brother, who I'll call Jay, out of the house after they were able to make him admit to doing this for years.
Wow.
My mom told my sister T that he was sent to my granddad's house where he will be forced to get a job and pay rent as well as his own tuition now. What about prison? I am still asking, but we'll get to that hopefully soon.
Wait, so he has to go and work like everyone else?
Like illegal adults?
Oh my God. The humanity.
My
What a
dad,
punishment.
my dad initially fought her on this until she made him realize just how badly he was tearing this family apart.
You're tearing this family apart.
I bet it was mostly the dad leading the punishments and the mom kind of just like following along.
Yeah.
And the mom's finally realized after 8 years how big she effed up in like co-signing it. My dad then called me apologizing profusely, telling me that I don't ever have to see them again and that they would totally understand it, but they would love the chance to make amends and fix what they damaged. He offered to gift me the amount of the money I owed for loans plus an extra $5,000 for keeps. I don't know if that's loans to pay back the missing items or like student loans or something else, but maybe we'll see, get more context in the future. I told him I will think it over, but it might take me a while. I did accept his apology, but I haven't forgiven either of them yet, and I hung up. My mom doesn't know that me and my sister T have kept in contact as I live about 2 hours away from my parents and 3+ hours away from her. And T relayed to me that my mom and dad were thinking about selling some stuff they own and taking extra shifts at each of their jobs so they can get me a brand new vehicle as a surprise.
Are they going to sell the collections?
Full circle. Honestly,
That would be so funny.
I honestly
How
think
much is it worth?
I think a couple thousand.
at least a couple thousand,
Yeah.
maybe over 10,000. They said that each item was like roughly a few $100s each, and they had like some knives, baseball cards, and baseballs.
So
Signed baseballs.
no, it must be worth more because they're
could
about
be,
to
yeah.
give OP like $5,000.
5.
No. That money, it wasn't. They weren't giving that money as like what was stolen. Nothing was stolen. They're just giving it because he has loans for school.
I think it's loans not tied to the valuation of the items.
It's not because nothing was stolen like and sold.
But still, like if they're willing to part with $5,000, I feel like it. Like I could see if that was worth hundreds of thousands or like $100,000, then it would be more worthy of a familial blow up than something that's like worth $10,000 if they're already like easily giving him $5,000.
Possibly, but let me ask you this: Would your kid at like 15 taking any collectible that you then found, would that warrant you basically ruining their lives for 8 years? And
No, but the chance of you ruining your kid's life increases with the amount of money that they stole.
I would guess that the value of this is like between 10 and 50 grand, maybe on the high end, because he was
Baseball cards can be worth a lot.
well,
Hold on.
he said, so in the beginning, he was like pretty explicit where he was like,
I have a friend that has $50,000
He
Pokemon
says
cards.
not worth like several grand or anything, but some of those probably fetch for a few hundred. That's what he
yes,
says.
each of the items from what I was.
And I imagine
So-
the baseball cards probably has hundreds of baseball cards. So
No, but I
We-
think he's saying like the knife collection, the baseball collection.
Oh.
Yeah, so I think all of
All
those
of that.
together are probably at the most a couple thousand.
And they ruined this guy's life over this?
Yes, that's what we're on.
I'm
That's a
honestly-
wacky
talking
doodle.
about.
Maybe they already don't like him and just looking for excuses.
Well, it seems like they like this other brother much more.
Yeah, they definitely do. I mean, that much is clear.
It's a little bit confusing to me, and some of them are pretty decently valuable, not worth like several grand or anything, but some of these probably fetch for a few hundred. So I think
Okay, so the
each of
top amongst them.
each of the items, but we have basically zero insight into how large the collection is. And I'm kind of going to guess that it's not that big, because also if you think about this, let's say they're having to work extra shifts to get some loan money to get a car. Maybe I think their incomes are super low, and maybe 10 to 50 grand means a lot to them because the income is.
I mean, 10 to 50 grand is a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. You know what I mean? But I digress. My dad initially fought with her on this until she made him realize how badly he was tearing the family apart. My dad then called me, apologized profusely, telling me that I didn't have to see them again and that they would totally understand, but they would love the chance to make amends and fix what they damaged. He offered to gift the amount of money I owed for loans plus an extra $5,000 for keeps. Okay, so to cover OP's loans and $5,000 on top, just as straight up cash.
Not bad.
This is good. I told him I will think it over, but it might take a while. I did accept his apology, but I haven't forgiven either of them yet, and I hung up. My mom doesn't know that me and T have kept in contact as I live 2 hours away from my parents and 3 hours plus away from her. And T relayed to me that my mom and dad were thinking about selling some stuff they own and taking extra shifts at each of their jobs so they could get me a brand new vehicle as a surprise. So they're paying undisclosed loan amounts plus $5,000 plus maybe buying a car by, selling stuff. It seems like that the car they need to sell a bunch of stuff.
It's just, but it's confusing to me. Like if they don't have much money, how are they affording to do all of that? Be able to part with $5,000
When did they
and
say
loan
they didn't
money
have a lot of money?
and card. That's a lot.
When did they say they weren't able to? When they didn't have a lot of money?
Well, they said they're just having to work extra
I'm reading
shifts.
between the lines here because it's if the collection is maybe only worth like around $10,000 and they ruin someone's life over it, but they're so willing and able to just part with loan money, $5,000, a car. They're like, oh, sorry, bam, here it is. It doesn't feel like it's someone who's struggling for something, and so it's like really just that they hate this kid.
Okay, yes.
It's just like more and more that this wasn't coming from a place of, oh, this is like some financial security. It is, we hate this kid.
I think it was more about, just the
absolutely not
the vindictive
financial
nature.
Security. Yeah, because nothing was stolen.
Yeah, because they literally found everything.
Yeah.
So no value was lost.
But they thought that the value was lost for a while.
They thought it was, but then they found everything.
How long after?
We don't know for sure, but presumably not.
No, I think the issue was that they were like, stuff's missing, found it in his room.
How long was this stuff missing though?
We in both cases we
presumably
don't know.
Not that long because it seems like the issue arose when they found it.
I have to imagine like a few days or weeks maybe. And again, this is more, we're missing a lot of context on the finances and stuff, but it seems pretty clear to your point that this was just more like vindictive and like hating the child. To Janae's point, like being the black sheep of the family. Especially given the brother was given almost no punishment for a more heinous crime.
Also, your corner looks great, by the way. John's corner.
Oh.
Like, look how pretty that looks. Looks so good.
My corner.
I love your corner.
Not yours. But Opie continues. I don't know how this is going to sound, but I'd rather not take a car or any money off of them because A, everything that I own so far, I earned through my hard work. And B, I feel like just buying your child's affection back is a lazy way to reconcile. As far as the situation goes, I did unblock my mom, but I will not be initiating conversation unless she or my dad text first. Also, they did make an apology on Facebook to me and scolded my brother for what happened.
Not the Facebook call out.
Facebook's back again, ladies and gentlemen.
What's with all of these like public Facebook beefs that are just put? Are people doing that? Just putting beef on Facebook?
Like I feel like the past like few weeks, all the stories are centered around like Facebook beef. Facebook family beef.
It's also just because as someone who doesn't use Facebook, the amount of stuff going on Facebook baffles me.
It kind of is a whole ecosystem that we're just totally we have our largest communities on Facebook now.
So now we're like using Facebook more because of that and like our understanding a little bit, but I had no idea.
It's a brave new world for us.
Yeah.
So I might update if something else happens, but that's all I got for right now. I'm going to read a quick relevant comment before another update. Someone commented, but OP, please don't forgive them. Ha ha ha. OP says, that's what I'm planning on doing. Forgiveness is on the horizon.
That's what I was going to say. Like take all the money, but don't give any of the forgiveness.
Ooh. I'm going to accept the money, but not the car if they actually go through and buy it. It doesn't feel wrong to take $5,000 from them, though. I don't know if it's just my stupid pride or what.
Why not take the car?
Well, it's probably more in their name than money.
I think OP is doing it. I think OP is maybe taking the middle ground of his previous stance where he's like, I'll take some of your money, but I won't let you just like completely buy me out. So he could still say like, I didn't take the car.
Like it's like, yes, like buy him out of
guilt.
Of guilt?
Basically.
That's what it seems.
But I mean like, but you can't just buy your way out of guilt.
They're not paragons of parenting, as this story has shown.
Yeah.
I know, but like, why not just accept it all? And I actually have I have a response to myself on that. I think, yeah.
Why
The
not?
Sam
Podcast
Show
is there.
featuring Sam.
So I think my response to what Idiot Sam said would be like, I think maybe the car would, like Sophia said, be more in the parent's name and thus would have a loan out. So like, let's say it's like a 20 grand car. They're paying a loan over time. If like OP isn't sufficiently absolving them of the guilt in the way they like, or it's like, all right, we're not paying your car loan. Bam, gets reclaimed by like someone else.
That's a great point.
Unless it's outright bought.
It's like it's like a bait on a fishing pole. And
Yeah.
they can just
Little
It's like
kid.
putting milk in front of a cat.
Oh, milk in front. Sam had
Milk
to be
in front of a what?
Yeah, you had to be there. Okay.
Milk in front of a cow?
I had to put it
It was
in
a
the-
whole thing. You wouldn't get it.
That's fine.
It's a John and Sophia stream.
I
Kind
didn't even want to get it.
Yeah, this is quite
That's
Tell me
right.
after.
But there's more, ladies and gentlemen. So, let's get into this update. I got a call from my sister T. My brother Jay just got arrested
Whoa.
for stealing my grandpa's truck keys and hitting a street light about 2 miles outside of the house last night, September 25th.
Whoa.
We'll update when I get more details, as I'm going to call my dad. Stay tuned. I'm going to get right into the next part of this
Is
update.
he okay?
Yeah.
We don't know. But if he was in prison at 11, this
would not
wouldn't have
happen.
happened.
Also,
also
he's
think it would
probably fine because if GTA has taught me anything, you can just hit those streetlights and they get knocked down
Dude,
in a second.
Tree, don't even think
Don't
about
even
it.
think about a tree.
Street pole?
Street
Yeah.
pole.
Easy.
Easy.
GTA logic tells you everything you
It's a
need to
toothpick.
know.
When I started driving, I was afraid that my hood would fly off because of how easily hoods fly off. It was a very like disassociated feeling.
That's
But
actually so funny.
my driving aside, there is more to this very
That's
juicy update right here.
hilarious.
So,
I love that. More.
the title of this next update: my brother's practically disowned for better or for worse. This is 3 days after the last update. So, my brother has not taken to his new living arrangements well at all. You don't say. He hasn't gone out long for work, and yesterday he was caught trying to break into my grandpa's safe right before he stole the truck. Prison.
Sophia Callan says he's a kleptomaniac.
Yeah.
This is true.
It seems
Yes.
like he got a little taste. He got a little
Yeah, he got a
you
little
know.
juice.
He's probably
Yeah.
been doing it since he was 11.
Yeah,
or
no, he got
earlier.
an
And
adrenaline
again-
rush. He was like,
This would not happen if he was in prison at 11.
That's, guys.
I don't like what we're advocating. here.
11-year-olds go to adult prison.
I'm just saying this one. You know what? Other 11-year-olds up for debate, but this one has to go in prison. So he was going too fast and unintentionally hit the streetlight. It's always unintentional. He doesn't have any injuries,
I would
but
hope so.
yeah, he doesn't have any injuries, but the truck is possibly totaled, and my grandparents kicked him out too. He now has no home, and my parents have canceled his college fund and are using it to pay for my grandparents to get a new vehicle. My dad told me that he was going to try to surprise me with a new vehicle, but that idea was out of the window, to which I said I appreciate his offer, but I would have declined it anyways because I have my reliable 01 Cherokee.
Sponsor, John.
You're right.
Wow.
I know. Pertinent story details. So my parents have practically disowned him, and it's also crazy to me that he was never truly rebellious up until this point. Never rebellious. I think he may be dealing with some serious mental crisis, and it wouldn't surprise me if his mugshot shows up on my local news. I'm not too well versed on psychology, mechanical engineering degree.
Let's go. Where are my engineers at?
So I know nothing about human psychology.
Also, I feel like there was a subtle flex in there. It's like, I don't know anything about the brain because I'm freaking engineer.
Yeah, that's right. I'm so brilliant, but
So
the other
brilliant.
kind.
The
I've
other
got my
kind of brilliant.
reliable Cherokee, and I'm an engineer.
Yeah. So I ask, is there anyone out there with an idea as to why he may be going through this? Ladies and gentlemen, we have another update, more relevant comments, and another update, and another relevant comment after that. So we have more.
We have more. But
Don't
wait.
think this is over because it is not.
Wait.
So, what do we think? At this point, we have gotten a lot more context. What do we think that OP in his position should do and think about the situation with his brother. Because to OP's point, maybe there's some serious like mental health issues going on with this kid.
Sure. But like, I feel like, as we've said before, just because there are serious mental health issues doesn't mean you absolve them of dickishness, but you maybe know how to treat the dickishness.
What if you kind of sit him down and you're like, hey, because he's basically kind of been like financially cut off and everything. What if they're like, the only way we will financially support you so you don't have to like, try not to live in poverty, be on the streets, is we go get you a psych evaluation.
Yeah.
If we get an evaluation or even, a second opinion too, that says like, hey, you should go to, get X, Y, and Z help for your mental health medication, maybe a center for a certain amount of time, like whatever the case may be, we're going to do that.
I think that's a pretty good idea because what we're understanding, we would understand more about the brother and like, he can get the help he needs. But only if he's actually advocating for himself to get that help. And so it's kind of like you have the consent to take things a little autonomy away from him so he can get this help. So
you're incentivizing him to improve.
Exactly. He may not take it. And then it's like, all right, we tried. It's on you. I think that's like the best thing that you could do. It's definitely the most angel thing you could do. But I don't think you are necessarily morally obligated to see that to the end. Where it's like if he doesn't accept the help, then it's like
totally
that's
kind of all you can do.
Yeah.
And as much as I want this 11-year-old in prison, which I really do, it's also a challenging thing. Even I feel like imagining myself as a parent to a 19-year-old, it's even still a challenging thing to completely cut off a 19-year-old who's especially going through, it seems, at least something. If he doesn't have serious mental health issues, just like a insane evil person.
The thing is that they've never once tried to like actually help any of their children.
They never.
They're like, oh, all right. You know what? I know you've gone through hell for the last almost decade, but here's $5,000.
Here's a new sedan.
Yeah.
You've won for your childhood trauma. You've won a new sedan. Yeah,
No,
that's exactly what it feels like.
Yeah, when they thought OP was stealing things, they should have had a talk about that. Hey, can't be doing that. Why do you think you're doing that? And then once they found out it was the brother, it should have been, hey, can't be doing that. Why do you think you're doing that? How can we stop you from doing that?
They Harry Pottered OP.
Yeah,
they really did.
Harry Pottered OP in what way?
In the fact that they're just like, no family vacations, no birthdays, no driving, basically no extracurriculars. We'll put you in a box and make sure that you don't die of starvation.
And I feel like that is the worst punishment to give a child.
Yes.
Yeah.
It robs them of their childhood.
Yeah. And it also probably, it doesn't expose them to the good things that could change that behavior.
Yes.
So let's say they did do what the parents thought they did.
Yeah.
The best thing for that kid is like, all right, let's like put them in science camp as a punishment, or like take away. Yeah. Like
rehabilitation.
Exactly.
For children.
Yeah.
Speaking of
11-year-old.
for this 11-year-old. Yeah. So this is my second Am I the A-hole post and a semi follow-up to my first one plus other posts on my account. For those in the know, here's a quick recap. I, 23 male, have been slowly reconnecting with my parents, male and female, both 54, after I was framed by my brother, currently 19 male, for stealing from my dad. Since I began interacting with them more, we have all, including my brother, my parents, have undisowned him after I had to vouch for him, saying that running away from your mistakes only made them worse. Started therapy, and I have debts from school paid off.
Oh, OP debt-free and in therapy.
And is seemingly leading, he mentioned to the parents like, hey, running away from our brother is not going to help solve the issue here,
which is 100% true.
OP is 1,000 times more mature than his 30.
OP should be the parent.
OP is the parent. OP's
OP
big
for
daddy.
parenthood.
Oh yeah. So on my mom's birthday dinner, that was yesterday evening, I decided to go because they were eating at an expensive restaurant and they offered to pay my way fully. Free food sounded good to me. Hey, when you offer a 23-year-old good free meal,
they'll take it.
That's right. Those that were there were me, my sister, my brother, surprisingly, my parents' uncle and his wife from my mom's side, both mid-40s, and their twins, 19 and male-female. I've always gotten along with their son, but their daughter, who I'll call R, has despised me for as long as I can remember. Let's also put her in prison. My dad was pulling out his wallet for his ID so he could get a drink. And my cousin R said in a mocking manner, "Uh-oh, OP's dad, hide your wallet. You wouldn't want OP getting in there." Excuse me?
No. The childhood trauma returns.
I'm not a thief, madam. I'm not a thief.
But I'm about to take my name out of your mouth.
Oh, talk that talk. So, so Sophia really laid it down. Here we go. OP's on the same train.
Get my name out of your mouth.
Will Smith style. I looked at her, red in the face and embarrassed, and said along the lines of, "Your girl best friends have to say that to every guy in your friend group because of how you get around. She's a no cheater."
I hope he said that part. He's
my
like,
goodness.
you get around, you're a known cheater.
You're a known cheater. Let the facts be known in this case.
Wow.
She got upset and started crying. And my uncle started berating me for talking to his daughter like that. How about your daughter talking to me like that, huh, buddy? And that I was still on thin ice for what I was framed for. Wow. Hey,
You can be on thin ice for something that you were proven innocent.
You were proved innocent, but only recently. You're on thin ice. You are exonerated of all charges, but it's still bad. Okay.
That would be like if someone was arrested for something and then they got proven not guilty, and then everyone was like, "You're on thin ice."
They're like, you know what? We're just going to take you back to jail for a
that
few
you
days.
should go to jail, and it's only recently that we changed our mind.
We're going to give you a jail grace period.
We might just throw you in jail because we don't like you.
We kind of feel like it, you know?
We don't like you.
It's
I mean, honestly, that is thin ice. If it's just like, we don't like you, and we already threw you in jail for a while for just like something we did just because we didn't like you, not anything you did wrong.
We got to get used to feeling like you're innocent. It's so new to us,
It is.
We got to wait till we really sink our teeth into it, Let's put a pin in that and put you in jail. But I got angry, flipped him off, and left the restaurant. I called my dad, and he said that I have nothing to apologize for. But my mom wants me to because she wants to keep peace between her side of the family and ours.
Is she gonna do another Facebook post?
Great prediction. Conspiracy theory. My uncle texted me demanding an apology, and cousin R put a post out on Instagram.
Or at least they're changing platforms. Still owned by Meta.
the same company. About toxic family members.
Oh my God.
Very big sub right there. This is where I come to you again. Reddit. Am I the a-hole? And just a little bit more background and just a little bit more context to my background. I was punished and neglected from my mid-teenage years up until I moved out because of what my brother did to me and left me with trauma and trust issues from everyone around me. I'm usually level-headed, but everyone knows what happened, and it is a very sensitive subject. Before we get into...
this story is long.
Dude, it is...
This is crazy.
Beefy. I feel like the mom should... What about keeping your son? Like...
What do you mean?
So the mom is like, hey, apologize to, your uncle's side of the family because we want to keep the peace. What about keeping the peace and keeping your son in your life, who is literally OP is completely in the right, and maybe the most you could say is he reacted rudely. That's like the most you have, but
John, you're forgetting one very important thing.
Talk to me.
The family hates OP.
You know what? You're totally right. He was only recently innocent.
He was only recently, and again, like they've been thinking of him as guilty for a long time.
8 years.
It takes a while. Like, Eric, if someone says like, "Hey, I'm a red balloon," for years, and you're talking to them on the phone, and it's like a long distance relationship with that red balloon. And this is a weird analogy.
Great,
and then suddenly you see them in person, and they're actually a blue balloon.
I'm going to call him now. You're just talking about gender transitions.
Back to politics.
I'm talking about balloons.
Nice job, Sam.
And I'm just saying,
balloons. I've heard of dog whistles, but balloon whistles?
To start thinking of a different balloon. Sophia, I was fine with my balloon. And now, oh, okay. Anyway, thanks, Sophia, for that.
We can't always have a classic John analogy. You know, it's truly an art and a gift to craft the most elegant
There's
analogies.
I went to lit school. I'm all about metaphors.
I'm a dropout. I'm all about metaphors, you know?
Uh,
But ladies and gentlemen, we have more.
all right.
So, mini update. Just got off the phone with my aunt, cousin R's mom, and she gave me the most sincere apology that I've received in the past month. And OP has been receiving some apologies. She said that she has dealt with R and my uncle. Don't know how, but R did take down the post, and my uncle did send me a single sorry.
Sorry.
Sorry. That's the K of apologies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. SRRY.
Yeah.
You don't even get vowels.
SRREY.
SRY.
SRY. Sorry.
As with little characters as possible.
Or just like
effort.
a little like crying face emoji.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
Yeah. That's sorry enough, right? Sorry.
Is the aunt, very quickly, is the aunt's actions forgivable of the interaction? At least for the aunt. Can we forgive the aunt?
I forgive no one.
Yeah.
Vengeance.
I think everyone in this story is the a-hole except for OP. Oh, and the sister.
Yes.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it is, I will say it was very good of the aunt consider, and you know, it is, I will give recognition to it being like a difficult thing to go against your husband and your daughter and like all this stuff.
Okay. Sorry,
But,
I forgot what the aunt did. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So I will say I at least give her credit for standing up to them, because she's like, she I think was exactly correct in being like, no, you are completely innocent. My daughter is the guilty one. And my husband should also apologize for trying to force you to apologize. I'll forgive the aunt. You need, honestly,
It's okay.
OP needs someone in his corner. Like,
Yeah.
OP is on an island just
one
like,
adult that is like nice.
yeah.
Well, I guess. Yeah. I guess so.
Well,
But yeah, Holly says divorce this family already. I'm like, is this just too much drama to be involved with? I mean, yes, you have your aunt who is helping out, but I feel like at a certain point, it's like, is it even worth it to be involved? And just like, I just want to distance myself from this whole situation.
honestly, that is a great point. The one thing I will say is like, OP is now getting essentially reparations for the wrongdoing that his parents did to him in the past.
Take
which
the reparations and run.
probably, I mean, honestly, like as a 23-year-old who was low key forced to move out at 18 because he had no support, like this is probably super helpful for him, and he's kind of like owed something.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
like maybe things will get better with the family with time. You know, and you just need to like take a step back.
Yeah,
but-
give me some be like, hey, it might even take years. Give me the gifts with no expectations, and that will be a true test.
Yeah.
And also, I don't want to deal with. I've already had to deal with this for 8 years. I don't want to deal with any more BS. So if Uncle and R are doing this, you're not allowed to invite them to your dinner. If
and
you
let's
care about
do
me.
like $5,000 a month.
You know what? Now we're talking.
Child support.
Yeah,
I am in full
exactly.
support.
You didn't support me as a child, so I deserve child support now that I'm an adult.
Back child support.
Back child support.
That is like probably a literal legal case in the case of like a traditional child support thing.
Yeah.
Can we talk about it? We have some relevant comments to discuss this. So, commenter, info, K, so you were framed for stealing, and now they know it wasn't you? Or did everyone get over it and was still thinking it was you? Why vouch for your brother if this whole situation is still lingering? I literally forgot about that. OP has vouched for the brother recently.
Wait, what?
OP vouched for the stealing brother because he was like, the way to kind of like fix him, quote unquote, is not by exiling him, but like working on the solution.
Right.
You know what I mean? Sounds like he still needs to make amends. Your cousin sounds like a piece of work, and while you sunk to her level, she may have deserved it. I don't believe that OP sunk to her. Yes, it was a like a clapback, but
it was a necessary.
Yeah, like OP is innocent, and they're continuing to torture him after 8 years of trauma. Still, you may find a more mature approach serves you better. OP, vouch for my brother because they were planning to cut him off like they almost did me when I and our now therapist thinks he has serious underlying issues. Everyone thinks I am innocent in stealing.
Okay, props to OP for actually rooting for his brother and
Again?
wanting to improve, even after what happened to him because of his brother.
Opie's the parent.
Yeah.
Opie's the parent in the situation.
Which is so sad. Like, he's been parentified. And
It's crazy. Commenter, so why is the uncle making a statement that he knows is untrue? Why did your parents not correct him immediately? Good question. That would have diffused the situation and kept the peace. OP, I don't know. Sometimes it feels like they still see me as the thief. And honestly, I'm just going to end up reverting back to bare minimum contact. Commenter says, so if your cousin really does know you're innocent, why did she make the remark about the wallet? Are you sure she actually knows the truth? OP, yes, she knows the truth. My parents made a public apology on Facebook, classic, and my entire family reacted to it, including hers, which is just a thumbs up. I guess like a thumbs up reaction. I don't know if maybe she doesn't know. I don't know. Commenter says, assuming cousin R really is a cheater, not the a-hole. OP, she is. She's cheated twice. One of the dudes was in that friend group. And ladies and gentlemen, we are currently at the precipice of the final update and final relevant comment.
Wow.
We have finally arrived. This has been a long
saga.
journey.
Is this a
the whole
one story episode?
Yeah.
Ooh, you're so right. Yes, this is going to be a one story episode. A banger.
Whoa.
Dare I say.
Banger
Big
of an
banger.
episode.
Oh, yes. Shall we get into it?
Let's dive in.
Update about my life. First and foremost, my mom actually straight up apologized to me for everything from not taking up my side at dinner, for the way I was treated most of my teenage to adult life. And she ended up telling my cousin and uncle off. That is what you do. This was during a therapy session, and it happened before any of us said anything to start it. My dad apologized to me, as well to my siblings, for everything. My brother is now going to get some actual help now, as my parents have admitted to prioritizing me and my sister before this entire ordeal started when I was 15 and the framing began. He apologized to me for everything and was let back into my parents' house, but has to earn his trust back. I don't really care what he has to do. My contact with him is still going to be very, very limited. Also, in other news, I have a date.
Ooh, baby.
That's right. We met on Tinder around a little over a week ago, and we clicked really well. She lives around 15 minutes from my place. Perfect boning distance. That was added by me. That was added by yours truly. And we're meeting at a sushi place before I take her to the movies. She wanted to see Killers of the Flower Moon. I'm hoping it goes well. And OP closes out with this relevant comment. To responding to what I'm not sure. OP says, oh, I accepted the money, but have only been attending therapy with them besides the birthday dinner, which I won't attend another event like that for a while. For a while.
Wow.
So.
And here we are.
Here we are at the end of the story. Very curious for everyone's takes and everyone currently in the chat on the live recording as well. What do we say here? Oh, well, let's actually go back to the question of this entire episode to wrap things up in our final discussion. How should you deal with stealing between family members? Not
like this.
Yes. Yes.
I think one is if you catch someone like stealing, I think you first have to try to understand before you sentence.
Especially a kid.
And especially when nothing's actually been sold.
We actually had a conversation about like values, Sophia and I, about like values and friendship. And it's like, the example was, if you saw a friend kicking a homeless person, what would you do? And there was someone else in the conversation where it was like, I would seek to first understand why my friend was doing that. And like, obviously you would stop your friend, but I think an important thing second thing after stopping your friend from doing a bad action is to be like, why did you do that?
Yeah.
And I think what that can do is maybe there is like a reason where it's like, that person killed my family or something. Or is like about to attack another person. You know, there's context around all actions. And so maybe if they had asked why earlier, they would have found the truth earlier. And if OP did actually steal, they would be able to provide the help that they needed. And so I think it's like really important to ask why when you see someone acting in a way that is not good.
Yeah, I'm thinking same point, but slightly different angle or outcome that comes from that is like, and this is what exactly what OP was saying with the not cutting off the brother, which is like maybe there's probably some sort of underlying issue, and it could be massively more productive to understand and try to address and fix the issue than possibly cutting them off or something like that. If you are ready to take on that challenge, which in many cases, I don't necessarily think you're like OP's case. OP was not obligated to do that. OP was not obligated to step in and say, don't cut him off. He's not obligated to do any further stuff after that, which he isn't in this scenario, but it helps you hopefully identify the core issue, which is the first step to being able to possibly solve said
But it's like
issue.
also, I think you can either solve the issue or step away from the issue. Like you always have those two options in any situation. So it's like family, friendship, otherwise, if you're willing to part from the relationship completely and you don't want to solve it, you can do. And so I think like the no contact option is always there, even with family. In like OP's case, like I feel like OP was wrongfully accused of stealing. So like that no contact option, I think could be taken too.
Yeah. Do we think OP made in all of the moves OP made? Was there any point that there was a misstep or a
I stepped in halfway, so I'm not
Yes.
sure. I don't have full context, but what do you think?
I think not. The only thing I think you could say, well, actually we discussed two things. One, we discussed when the parents came to apologize after they finally learned for the first time that it was the brother doing it for 8 years. He was like, F you, I'm storming out, I'm blocking you. And the question was, do you kind of give your parents a chance to kind of like, as stupid as it kind of sounds, learn what the mistake was to try and address and fix it, kind of like we just said a second ago? And the resolution we came to is that's the hero move, that's the angel move, but you're not the a-hole for not wanting to
For
deal
not
with
doing that. Like it's just, I mean,
It's not your responsibility.
it's not your responsibility, and it's like maybe like not everyone has the strength and space in their life to take on stuff like that. It's like it's at the end of the day, it's not your burden to bear unless you want to bear it.
And important context here too. I think OP was kind of like forced into being an adult. Like one thing he said in the beginning that you weren't here for, he's like, oh, I had to start like, I just like stashed all of my old birthday money. I started doing odd jobs around the neighborhood to get money. Like at 15, he was low key kind of like exiled and forced to become an adult. So now at like 23, he's at like 8 years of this. And that's like a lot of trauma and things to deal with, and like letting your family back in when they were the ones who could stop him in his own healing process.
Exactly. Like the idea, you have to fill your cup before you can help others fill theirs.
Yes.
And like OP has a lot of stuff to deal with, so deal with that first.
Kimberly Fine says only if they've shown that there's a slight chance and it won't be to his detriment. So basically, like, is there any chance on the
Have
question,
they shown chance of improvement?
have they shown any sort of signs of a chance of improvement, and is it not going to be at the victim's detriment?
Yeah.
I think that's actually a pretty good qualifier for if you want to give them that
Yeah,
space.
but I think overall OP did like a lot of the right moves.
100%.
My parents are stalking me because God told them to.
Keep an eye on your children.
It's just because they love you. Hi, I'm 24 female and I live on my own out of my parents' house. I have a bit of a situationship going on with my friend. We'll call him David, 24 male. We had a fling a few months ago and now it's kind of happening again. It started out just hanging out, enjoying David's company. Then it slowly turned into more again.
Oh no.
By the way, this comes from Raindrops143 on the OK Storytime subreddit. So the thing is, my parents knew about the first fling. David used to be inseparable from my dad. They were like father and son in a way. Whoa. Until David and I had our fling, now my dad is trying to control him, telling him he is to have no contact with me outside of a group chat. We're all in.
Aww.
That's so
He
weird.
just wants to be even more with him.
He's like, you can only talk to my daughter if I read all of your messages. says, we think this is stupid. A few weeks ago, we were hanging out and we went to Five Below to get snacks and just hang out. While we were there, my parents walked in. They don't live in the same city as me. I live about 20 minutes away from them, and they just randomly showed up at the store right by my house. They claimed it was to find batteries to go to this other city because they didn't have AAA by us. Nobody had AAA.
How old is she?
24.
I'm not even that old.
I'm not even that old. At that point, my dad confronted David and said that he told him not to be around me, and he told him he isn't gonna care anymore and not to go crying to him when I get heartbroken. Stop. Stop.
I think the dad's just hurt.
Yeah, it's like, David, I thought we were friends. I thought you wanted to talk to me. My mom texted me later saying it was totally the Holy Spirit revealing that something was happening so they can intervene. I'm kind of glad that that happened because after David and I left, that opened up a conversation about what's going on between us. They're like, okay, my parents are getting really involved. Are we involved? How are we involved?
Make this a thing.
We both enjoy our company and we both have feelings for each other, but we're taking it slow. While we were talking, my dad is texting me 3-page essays on why I'm stupid for not doing as he says and that he's no longer invested. He told me David only wants me for one thing and doesn't care about me as much as he does, and that if David's in love with me, he'd ask him for permission to date his daughter and play by his rules. David told me he does really care about me and that it's a lie that he doesn't.
I feel like the dad's also sending the same paragraph to David.
Yeah, he's like,
David,
if you
all
really
she wants
care-
you for is for one thing and one thing only, and I love you more than that.
Yeah. They're in the group chat. He's like, David, come home to me. Anyways, we decided to continue hanging out, especially since my dad said he no longer cares. He for sure cares. He's like, I don't care anymore. Whatever. You guys don't want to talk to me? I don't care. But that's really weird, and your dad is definitely crossing so many boundaries.
Yeah, romantically.
We both have annual passes to Disneyland, so we decided to go together after work. While we were there, my mom and dad texted me asking if I was at Disneyland.
Sounds like you already know that.
Are they tracking you? Sounds like they're tracking you.
Absolutely.
I ignored their texts. We were there till closing, and as we were walking out, my dad walked up to us with a Starbucks bag and asked to talk. David kept walking and said no, and of course, me wanting to keep the peace, begged David to, and he said no. Totally fair, honestly. David's just trying to live his life, and OP's weird parents keep trying to talk to him out of nowhere. Yeah. I'd be really uncomfortable. I told him I'm his ride, and he said he'd just get an Uber, and I told him no, so I just left my parents there and left. I cried in the car, and David told me it's not my fault. While I was in the car, I texted my mom how she knew I was there, and she said, God is watching.
Yeah,
God or
app.
Life 360. And I asked again how she knew, and she said she'd meet me at my house and tell me, and I said, no, you will not meet me at my house. That's weird. Mom, how did you know I was at Disneyland? She stopped messaging me, and then my dad messaged me this. OP, if you want to know how we knew you were there, you could talk to us in person. We brought peace, and we tried to be loving, even though I knew David was doing stuff that he said he wouldn't do. I just want him to care for you as much as I do, and your mother does. But you're gonna find out, honey, and it's really sad. He had every opportunity right there to confess his love for you and to ask us for space. We could have had a good discussion, but instead he was a coward and ran away. Was he supposed to say, OP, now that your parents are here, I can finally tell you that I love you. And I always loved you. And
Forever.
I'd like to ask your father for your hand.
That's
what he
the
wanted.
dad's dream scenario.
From here on out, you're not to come to my home. We can meet in public to talk about how we knew you were at Disneyland because we had every intention of telling you, and that was going to be a part of the conversation, how we were following you and stalking you. I've never lied to you and I never will. I do not have anything to hide. That conversation could have been great and we're still willing to have it. But David, sadly, is not. I did nothing to deserve the treatment from him that we got. And I've never treated him any way other than I would treat a good son, I hope. And I pray that he doesn't do what I know he's gonna do. Wolves come into the sheep and they separate the sheep from the flock and then they devour the sheep. But the good shepherd will protect you. And if David ever was a sheep, he'll listen to the voice of God. The people that loved him and cherished him. I love you, OP, and I wish nothing but the best for you. If you want to talk, we're willing to talk to you about anything you want to know.
This is weird. Dude.
I kind of think maybe we need to limit a lot of contact with your parents.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think we have to stop talking to your parents because They are freaking me out, man.
Yeah, and also burn every device you have in your house.
Yeah, like go through your devices, see what apps you have on there.
Yeah.
Because clearly they bugged something.
Oh, absolutely.
I responded with, Dad, I don't expect him to be in love with me. That's way too soon. And if you don't want to hide the truth, just explain how you knew I was there. I will not be meeting in person for a conversation that can be had over text. He then responded with, then don't meet me. That's how it's going to come out because you need to see my demeanor and everything. And shame on you guys for trying to point the finger back at us. You guys are the one that are not doing right and hiding. Literally every box that was checked for you to like David was erased by David. All the things that you liked about him are now gone, and it was by David's own hand. OP, from now on, whatever you want, I'm cutting this pain off. I mean it. Don't come by my house because we will not be able to support your drama any longer. You're going to have to learn the hard way again. The only difference is now your mother and I are numb and we don't feel anything. God will show the truth. But I wanted to make sure you weren't hurt in the process. That is it. That's the whole quote from the father.
Oh.
Your father is intense, man. Your father is an intense man.
So weird.
This is very weird. You're 24 years old.
And your parents are acting like this?
More so than parents do even when, you know, a kid is living under their roof. This is they've gone way past any sort of boundary.
Helicoptering.
I don't care if I don't meet with them or not. I can't handle the helicopter parenting anymore.
Yeah, that's how they know where she is.
Yeah.
Because they're in their...
Because they got their helicopter and they're looking down at OP. And I feel that anytime I have ever brought a boy around my dad, he has to place himself in the middle, forcing the guy out. The guys that have been okay with it in the past end up not working out because of my fear that if my dad can control him now, my whole future will still be controlled by him. If I don't do it their way, then I'm doing wrong. I really like David and he likes me. I'm 24 years old and for once, I have a guy that doesn't run away from me because of my crazily super involved parents. I don't know what to do. What I'm concerned about is how my parents followed me there and why. I just don't know what to do. Any advice is greatly appreciated. Thank you for reading as much as you did. And please, any suggestions would help because I feel alone right now. Edits on OP's post same day.
Oh, we have an edit.
Edit.
Yeah.
I think you just gotta kind of cut them off and take off all location services.
And even like that they're using the God thing
to
hide behind. As like parents, they're supposed to have discernment, and that's I don't know. They shouldn't be like punishing you like that.
No,
it's so weird
for nothing. For being an adult who's seeing a boy. That's it.
That's it.
But there is an edit. Thank you everyone who gave advice and suggestions. I decided I'm going to let myself settle for a few days. I'm going to agree to hear my parents out just to know how they got my location. As controlling as they are, I still love them and I can say with certainty they have always been honest. They're not being honest. They're saying that God told them. That's not true.
Yeah. Well, I disagree.
You disagree that God told them that she was at Disneyland?
Good if they're in that sync. But if they were in that sync with,
so freaking sync.
if they were in that sync with God, they would be acting like this.
Exactly. God be like, hey, calm down.
Yeah.
My dad said he will tell me how they found out I was there in person. I'm going to give myself a few days to get my own nerves and emotions down. I'll post an update when that happens. Honestly, thank you everyone. It's nice to see I'm not crazy and that I'm not a terrible person. It's reassuring to see that this isn't normal behavior and I can't thank you all enough for that. It gave me a bit of peace of mind, to be honest. Thank you all for giving advice to a no-name person on Reddit. And there is another edit. Edit 2. I texted my dad and told him I'd be willing to talk within the next few days. He then told me I need to find a new phone provider.
Yep, there it is.
This is the last bill I have connected with my folks. They pay for it in their account. I just pay them back for my line every month. I think that cancels out them tracking me via phone provider, especially now since this is another attempt to control by using fear of cutting off a service I can very easily get on my own. I looked for any AirTags. I couldn't find anything. He still refuses to tell me how he tracked me unless I meet with him, my mother, and our pastor at church. And there is an update. Oh man. Yeah, this is really not good. It seems like they're trying to get OP to come and meet with them and the pastor to, I don't know, maybe try and guilt her and say like, oh, you're disrespecting your parents. You're not honoring your mother and father.
Yeah.
And it seems like OP's very susceptible to that behavior because she's like, oh, well, I love my parents and they love me. I met with them today. My pastor and his wife had my back 100%.
Let's go, the Oregon people.
Okay. Shout out that pastor.
Let's go.
My dad told me how they found me. I guess I was still sharing my location with him on my phone through messages.
OP,
Come on.
Come on, OP.
Come on. I'm sorry, that wasn't the first thing you checked. You're like, how did you find me? And you like gave them your direct location.
Yeah, dude.
Come on. Come on.
You know, like on your phone, on the top left, when it has that little arrow and it turns on? Yeah, that's your location being shared.
He said God revealed that he still had my location.
I think he accidentally
He was like,
swiped
oh,
on it.
damn.
He's like, whoa,
I've got OP's location.
that's cool.
My parents then drove to my house to see if my car was there. Saw David's car was there. We carpooled to Disney, then waited outside of Disneyland till we left. I told them that's freaking weird, and that makes me uncomfortable. They said they did it out of love because they were concerned.
That's probably the safest place you could have been.
Yeah, Disneyland?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Like you're in an enclosed space
With security everywhere.
with security.
And their number one priority is making sure you have fun.
Yeah.
Come on.
Basically, my pastor and his wife are 100% behind my back regarding dating who I want, not letting my parents decide. Shout out. You know what?
Wow.
I was scared. Shout out to this pastor and his wife.
Yeah, I had a kind of okay feeling.
Yeah.
Most pastors are like, ugh.
I should have the opportunity to decide if I like the guy first, one-on-one, then bring him to meet my parents.
Yeah.
It's a little different because we have all known David for years, but still, I have the right to decide when my parents will be involved. By the way, you have the right to decide to be involved with us every weekday live at 3 p.m. PST on YouTube. Just tap our profile.
Yeah, Valerie.
My dad did not like this. He said he'd leave the church and then blocked me on all of his social media.
Oh my God.
He said he can't stand around and wait for my heart to get broken. And the whole time he was trashing on David. Wait, is he leaving the church because the pastor didn't agree with him?
Why?
He's like, well, if you won't listen to me and God won't listen to me, then I'm out of here.
What the heck? He probably is still going to have a relationship, but he's probably going to go to a different church.
Yeah.
That's crazy that, you know, someone in your church is telling you, hey, you're kind of acting a little crazy. You're not going to listen to them.
Come on.
Dude, what the heck?
I feel like what happened, and there is a little bit left, but I feel like what happened is they had a relationship with David where they were texting.
Yeah.
And then they, you know, whatever happened with David and OP.
fell in love with David.
Yeah, didn't. OP's dad fell in love with David. No, but he was like, maybe got more controlling, and David noticed this behavior, and he was like, oh, that's weird. And so he stopped talking to OP's dad and was just like, I'm going to hang out with OP.
Got it.
And then that switch up, the dad was like, well, I can't control her boyfriend. And if I can't control her boyfriend, then I can't control her completely.
Got it. Yeah.
And that was all that switch
and
up.
probably OP is now realizing that she has controlling parents.
Yeah. She's like, wait a minute. He called me a few names that were extremely hurtful, and I was glad to see the pastor had my back. They told me I'm no longer under his roof. I'm not doing anything wrong. The conversation ended with my dad claiming he wants to go no contact, which I'm sure he won't follow through on. It sucks. I love my parents, but in my dad's eyes, if he can't have control over this aspect, I don't get him at all. And that's probably how it's going to be for a while. Thank you, guys.
Wow.
And that's the end of that story.
I went no contact with my sister after years of mistreatment, but my family is pressuring me to reconnect. Talk to her! Go! Now! I, 19 female, haven't spoken to my sister, 26 female, since November of 2022. This dilemma started around the time she was pregnant with her first child, and we had a relative come over to our family house to drop off a late baby shower gift. My sister doesn't live with us anymore. Instead, she lives with her boyfriend and his family, which is an hour and a half away when commuting. By the way, this comes from Outside Macaroon 3572 on the r/OK Times subreddit. So the gift sat there for a few weeks until my mom tasked me to keep the gift with me in my dorm until my sister had the time to come pick it up. As the drive from my university to her house takes around 40 minutes, so a lot less time. The gift sat in my possession for maybe a month, and there was 2 instances where she had planned on picking it up, but things didn't work out. I don't have a car, so taking it to her was out of the picture. That was until an opportunity presented itself, where my friends and I were going to have a trip, and I had the idea to drop off the gift for her. I FaceTimed her to let her know of the trip, and I had asked for a small sum of gas money since it was still an added 40 minutes to our original location. Over FaceTime, she agreed, and everything seemed fine. A few days later, I checked up on her to see if she was okay with spending the money for gas. She took a full 180 and was upset that I was charging her to drop off my nephew's new clothes and instead to drop it off at the family house for Thanksgiving, and my mom would bring it to her instead. I was confused because she said it was completely fine over FaceTime, and I got a little upset because this was now the third attempt at handing over the gift. She said she originally agreed because she's used to me doing something for something in return, and she felt like she had to say yes because if she hadn't, then I wouldn't have said no to dropping off the gift. I told her that she didn't have to lie and to be honest with me. She called me sensitive, and I can't handle being told anything without taking offense. I responded saying, I'm the sensitive one? And my sister then brought up instances where she made comments about my appearance and I'd start crying. I had had enough at this point and told her that she'd been treating me awfully since I was a younger kid and that I'd have enough of her poking fun at me. And I'd like to stand up for myself instead of being called sensitive. This was the last message that was exchanged, and we haven't formally spoken to each other since. My relationship with my sister has been rocky for as long as I can remember. Literally, my parents kept a note my sister wrote that contained a list of reasons why they should give me away.
Whoa.
One of them being because I liked going in the bathroom to ask how their day was going. I was like 3. I can confidently say that I have more memories of my sister being cruel to me than genuinely good ones. Some memories I have as a toddler range from her spilling hot chocolate on me and not caring, using scare tactics on me to stop eating chips until I was hysterically crying and constantly being told, this is why you have no friends.
Oh, wow.
If there's one thing I remember from my childhood, it's that phrase from her. Wow. It's easy to disguise these behaviors as just sibling interactions, but these remarks continued especially when I was going through puberty.
Oh no, that's when it really sets in.
She told me I reeked of menstrual blood and I looked unattractive with all my facial hair. Stop. There were so many instances where I'd be minding my business and I was interrupted with a terrible comment. We share the same bedroom, and any concern or boundary I had set with her was always met with an attitude and complete disregard. It seemed like I had to abide by her rules or else I'd be given a lecture regarding my sensitivity and how much of a diva I was. I had finally had my space from her when she moved away from college. Until I thought so, when in 2019, my sister, 30 female, had a very small presence in my childhood, she was probably much older, moved back to the house with her 2 kids, and I asked my dad for a lock to the room we all once shared. I was berated by both of them for being his favorite, and they took it as an opportunity for me to be grateful because I have it, so different from them versus when they were growing up. This kickstarted my depression. I didn't have the confidence to fully stand up for myself until I got out of my depression and into my junior year of high school, 2020. But there wasn't many instances where I had to until this whole gift dilemma. By the way, you can get the gift of us every weekday at 3 p.m. PST. Just tap our profile to unwrap our smiles.
That's beautiful. Here we go.
Yep.
Box, gasoline, match, picture, send to sister.
Wow.
That's what I'm doing.
That sounds like you've done that before. It sounds like you have the whole step-by-step. You have an SOP to-do list. Because you've done it so many times. It's just
easy.
Like clockwork.
Make sure there's just rock and gravel around, no trees. You're good.
But where's the parents in all this?
Yeah.
Because again, in all seriousness, if my 10-year-old daughter gave me a list of reasons why I needed to get rid of my toddler.
And they kept it, by the way. They kept it. They kept the list. That was one thing that everyone was bringing up. Like, why do they keep it?
They probably put it on their fridge, too.
Gold star for you, middle daughter.
I would sit down and have a heart-to-heart and, honestly.
That's a good list.
Honestly, depending on how that conversation goes, might, put her in therapy because I'm I don't know, where is this coming from?
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's normal to be, the baby of the family.
Yeah, but calling her means and saying
and then
your
getting
facial hair's gross.
Yeah. And then also the oldest sister. We don't have any sisters, but assuming this is 3 sisters.
I think so. So far I count 3.
OP and
the oldest sister also gangs up on the little sister with the middle sister.
Yeah.
The fact that
we both suck.
Did OP talk to her parents about this?
That's what I'm wondering is this might have just been them inventing something to torture OP with. Mm-hmm. But remember the oldest sister said oh, your dad's favorite, your dad's golden child or whatever, right? Now, is that true? We don't know, but I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
If she's going to be talking this crap, don't give her the gift.
Super small, okay, story time. My mom's older sister was also 11 or 12 years older than her. And one time she told her if she ate a watermelon seed, then a watermelon would grow inside of her.
Oh, no.
And then she got really scared.
Oh. That's so sad.
Yeah. Since our no contact started, she's already welcomed her second child into this world, and my guilt eats me every now and then because I haven't had proper time with either of her two babies. Both of my parents and my older sister are always pressuring me to reconcile with her, so the parent side with her. Doesn't make any sense. Even to the point of having a surprise FaceTime with her while I'm in the car. I said hi, waved to the baby, and she later claimed to my older sister I was making a rude face to her baby. I think at this point, we just got to beat the crap out of her. We just got to like a little wrestle, a noogie war. We need a noogie war.
No, you
Whoever can get a nice headlock and
that's for brothers. Sisters, they fight totally different. They're pulling hair.
Oh yeah,
they're using their nails, dude.
It's crazy. It's like too far. It's like beyond the regular sibling
fun stuff.
Like it's like there's always gonna be sibling banter and like but this is just kind of intense.
If my siblings been doing this, I'm not doing a nice thing for them. I'm setting their box on fire. I'll maybe like watch their kid if they need it, but anything for her.
Yeah.
Wait, John, do you have siblings?
I have one younger sister. Yeah.
How is that? Like, what's the age difference?
She's like 25 right now.
Yeah, I've met your sister for a second.
Yeah. It was pretty good, honestly.
Yeah.
Like we had some like just like really.
I think it's always
tiny, but
the age difference is also a huge factor.
Yeah.
And again, these are 7 years apart.
I would say so.
Yeah. Oh, that's actually we've never like talked about that show. The longer the age gap, is there more like tension between?
I think to a point.
To a point. I think
Because
like 10
my
years
brothers are 10 and 12 years younger than me.
Yeah, and you're more like fatherly.
Yeah, they're like.
Yeah.
I'm
But
like
also,
their
you're
uncle.
a great guy. So
Yeah. But I'm like they're like my uncle. One time I did punch the crap out of one of my little brothers. And I had to do everything in my power to make sure like mom did not know.
Was it like, oh no, shh?
I was like,
you're
dude,
okay, you're okay,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
you're okay.
The way I did it was I punched him really hard in the gut, and I was like, oh no, because I was like a teenager and I didn't realize like my strength, and I was like, oh
you're so
crap.
strong.
And then I was like, I'm training you as a ninja. Like you have to be able to have ninja reflexes and stop that. And that is the hardest punch you're ever gonna feel in your life. So you got to be ready for that. And he bought it. And he loved it. He's like, okay.
Tears
And I was like,
coming down his face. Yeah,
dude.
Yeah, dude.
Riley said the world's gonna beat you up, so I'm gonna beat you up harder. So you're
Let me
ready.
show you what the world feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is brotherly love.
Yeah, that was not.
Anyways.
that was not a good moment. Sorry.
That's it. You're good. We'll get it back to the story. So I've always seen it as the ball is in her court because I sent the last text.
Okay.
And I would like an apology for being insulted and lied to. This feels like a strong word too. This problem obviously has roots beyond gas money, and I'm not sure if I even want to continue a sisterly relationship with her. Yeah, it seems like the straw that broke the camel's back. If I've been doing just fine without her, and sometimes I even forget I have another sister. But it sounds really cruel, and I feel bad my family can't be together in the same room all at once. Am I the a-hole?
Nah. I feel like she may have done some sisterly things back to them in a way. Do you think so? Or was she just
Like-
so bullied so much she didn't even think she could do, like she would like, I don't know,
Like
put
OP's done
Cheetos in
some
her
kind
feet.
things?
Yeah, like put
Yeah.
Cheetos in her shoes or whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
she's like down to like go out of her way a bit to, you know, bring the clothes and stuff. So I that seems to suggest she would do other nice things. But yeah, I think not the a-hole. Yeah, I think I would be like, hey, you've like hurt me for years and you haven't really ever recognized that.
Mhm.
I'm sorry if I ever snap or anything. Yeah, I think OP deserves an apology for like how the sister constantly like just emotionally hurt her, you know? And I feel like the family needs to recognize that and and the parents should be encouraging her to do that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
After years of neglect, my little sister started calling me daddy. Now our biological father is furious. I, 24 male, am the older brother to my little sibling, 5 female. I was always the one who had to take care of my sister. For the sake of privacy, I'll call her Belle. For some background, my parents had me as teenagers. They were 15 and 16 at the time, and even as a kid, I could always feel that they regretted having me. By the way, this comes from Hi-Ye Lover.
Hey, yeah.
Hiya Lover on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, after I was born, both my mother and father were practically disowned by their family. My mother had to drop out of high school just to take care of me, while my father worked 2 jobs just to provide. And even then, they couldn't afford a home. They lived with my mother's older sister until I was 9, and my father got his GED and managed to get a better job and move us out. Despite the fact our living situation was better, it was clear to me that they believed their lives were ruined because of me. Whenever I misbehaved like any normal child,
child, they'd use the fact that they gave up their lives for me, and I still had the audacity to behave like this. And even when I never misbehaved, they never treated me with much love. I barely got to get new clothing. They'd get my clothes from Goodwill and practically refused to get me anything nice unless they had to. Birthdays, parties, meeting friends, and their wedding.
A lot of Harry Potter shit, eh?
Well, there's nothing wrong with clothes from Goodwill, but moving on. My birthdays were always celebrated with the bare minimum. They'd get me a cupcake and a single gift, nothing that I wanted. Despite everything, I was still a child who just wanted their love. But as I grew older, I began to accept I wouldn't get it and made peace with that. I guess somewhere along the line when my parents realized I gave up on them, as throughout my teen years, they, mainly my mother, began to treat me better. But at that point, I wasn't the child who begged for their love anymore. I never received the love of my parents, and I wasn't asking for it anymore. I don't like this. I'm going to say this. I don't like anything about this story right now. I don't like it. Although I can't say that I kept hating them. In fact, my feeling began to feel more neutral towards them. In my eyes, we were practically strangers. I never got to know them truly, as they raised me with the bare minimum and never had any real conversations with me and never spent any quality time with me. Okay, I'm gonna keep going.
You got this.
They also knew nothing about me, so them suddenly trying to play parents with me was awkward to say the least. When I was 18, my mom got pregnant, and I guess that was when they gave up on trying to fix things with me, as they could have a new child to start over with. They didn't treat me poorly again, but instead it felt like we were strangers living in the same home.
Practice child.
That wasn't even real practice, though.
This is practice.
Practice does not make perfect. With
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, clearly practice does not make perfect, but your parents were teenagers when they had you, dude. Okay, I'm just gonna keep going. When I turned 19, my mother gave birth to a girl, but due to some complications, she didn't end up surviving. And this crushed my father. Not only did he begin to resent me for not being as sad as he was over her death, she was barely a mother to me, so there wasn't much to be sad over. Oh, God. But
dude,
he also blamed his daughter for killing his wife. This is the worst story I've ever read.
this is
I don't
bad.
like this story at all.
This is bad.
He was never home after the incident, and I was left taking care of my sister. I ended up having to take a break from college after the time I came home from my classes to my sister screaming with hunger in an unchanged diaper while my father was out drinking.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry, OP. This is a terrible situation to be in. I'm sorry to the daughter. This is a terrible household to grow up in. I'm sorry to the husband that lost his wife to a pregnancy and is now sort of binge drinking himself.
Yes.
I feel sorry for everyone in this story, and I'm gonna keep going.
We're gonna keep going.
I took care of Belle full time and called out my father multiple times, but he always got angry and ended the conversation with him saying I could always leave Belle at the fire station. I eventually gave up on forcing him to be a father. Despite everything, I truly loved Belle. She was the sweetest and cutest kid. She was almost always smiley and surprisingly slept through the night. Once she was old enough, I enrolled her in daycare and continued my education while working night shifts. I always made sure to leave a good portion of afternoons empty so I could spend time with her. She always knew who her actual father was, and as she grew older, she began to try and spend time with him. I guess as she began to follow him around the house, of course that quickly ended after he blew up on her and she began to fear him. I realized she saw me as a parental figure despite the fact she knew I was her brother. When she was old enough for preschool, I found out she was telling people I was her father. I never mentioned it to her and just let it be until she gave her Father's Day card she made at preschool to me. So take this kid and leave. Run away.
Yeah.
Take this child. You're the parent now. You're the father.
Yeah.
She gave you the Father's Day card, dude. You're her dad. I'm sorry, but 100%. That's just how it is.
That's the case.
You're her
I
dad
mean,
now.
and we don't know the exact dynamics, but I guess it's like there's the thing of him like living there. It's like, okay, at least it sounds like they're able to just like live at his place. I wonder if like OP finances wise is like able to get a good setup. I don't know. The best case scenario is he leaves. The best case scenario is he leaves.
Yeah, best case scenario is that he leaves.
Yeah.
You are the father now. I then told her if she wanted, she could call me dad since then she's been calling me daddy. My father ended up getting a girlfriend and began to change himself, and he stopped drinking. He got a better job and even began to take over a majority of the bills other than the portion that I agreed to pay while I live here. He never really tried being a father to Belle, but he did begin to eat breakfast with us, but that breakfast was spent in silence other than me and Belle talking. Fast forward to a few months ago on Belle's birthday. I'd planned a party for her and invited her preschool class. My father ended up attending, as I guess his girlfriend thought it would be a good time to meet his daughter, as she was the one who looked excited to be here.
Here we go.
Anyways, while she was opening gifts, I surprised her with one of those kids' electric cars. She screamed and hugged me, yelling how she loved me and called me daddy. After the party and after Belle was fast asleep, my father asked me what the heck happened. I was confused till he yelled, asking why his daughter was calling me daddy. I asked him if he seriously didn't know why and told him that I was the one who raised her and bought her everything. I celebrated her firsts. I was the one who didn't abandon her. He was quiet and went to bed. In deep shame, I would hope, for having the absolute audacity to ask you, why is she calling you daddy? Because I raised her. You
Scum
person. You are pond scum in human form, and he's trying to get his act together, so I'm trying not to go off the handle on this guy.
But it's like he's getting his act together, but it's all self-serving, it feels like. He's like, okay, I feel like crap when I'm just like drinking and like all this stuff. So he's like, all right, let me get a better job. Let me get this girlfriend and all. Like he's taking negative 1,000% of responsibility. And now that he's looking bad in front of his like new girlfriend who he wants to impress, only now is he asking, and still like he's so far from getting it. He's 1,000 light years away from getting it.
Literally the same guy who was like, you can just drop her at the fire station, is now asking, what? That's my daughter.
That part.
So he was quiet and went to bed. And since then, he's tried to play father and talk to her, but he was a stranger to her. She was a sweet girl, so she entertained my father's conversation, but he could tell how awkward she felt, and it was clear that it hurt him. And by the way, you can join us live on YouTube every weekday at 3 p.m. PST. Just tap our profile. It'll never hurt us. I'm just not. Let's just keep going. So despite how selfish it is, I don't want their relationship to get better. See, now this is why I think OP sucks too. That's why this sucks. Everyone in this story has gone through just a heartbreaking amount of bull crap that they don't deserve to go through, but also everyone sucks.
Yeah.
Except for Belle. Belle rocks.
Belle rocks.
And I think, OP, you got a bad hand when you got these teenage parents who didn't know what the hell they were doing with you. But I think that you have let that crystallize into this like seed of hatred for your parents.
Yes.
That you didn't need to have.
Yes.
Because they were children trying to raise you. Of course you were going to have clothes from Goodwill and not get anything for your birthday because your parents were probably flat broke.
Yeah.
Your mom died giving birth and you didn't care? I don't even believe that, dude. I think you have your own stuff that you need to process on that end. That's therapy for you, dude.
Yeah.
Felt really good saying that out loud. I was holding that in the entire story.
Yeah. Please do. OP's traumas have calcified into him not being able to see his parent, okay, it was probably hard. I think the big kicker, it's not the Goodwill clothes, it's not the no fancy new gifts at the birthdays. It was how the parents treated him emotionally.
He said that by the time that he turned 12, 13 or somewhere around there, that the parents had switched up and now they were trying.
Okay.
And that means that the parents were in their late 20s when they started to do that.
Yes.
These people had this child at 15 and 16.
Mm-hmm.
They were not emotionally equipped to raise a child at all, or mentally equipped. They were hardly mentally equipped to have a high school diploma. I'm not talking down on people who don't have a high school diploma or had to get a GED, but they were overwhelmed by existence entirely.
They were kids.
And they were children. And I feel like through no fault of his own, OP has developed this distaste, and it's like a byproduct of the environment he was in and the circumstances that he was in. And that's why this is also so frustrating, because it's so hard to put blame on anybody, because all of this just sucks so ruthlessly.
Yeah.
Violently sucks. But then I read stuff like that and I'm like, OP's feeding into this negativity. OP is continuing to dig this hole.
I would think that and OP's I guess OP's writing this now at 24, but it's it feels like it'll take a long time for him to go to bed.
Anyways, let's finish off this nightmare. Despite how selfish it is, I don't want their relationship to get better. After all, just as she saw me as her dad, I saw her as my daughter. Okay, now I feel bad. I graduated college and I'm looking for a better job so I can move Belle and I into our own home. I may be a bad person for enjoying my father's misery and regret realizing he ruined his chances in having a relationship with his daughter, but I'll never be as bad bad as him. Edit. Thank you, guys, for all the support and advice. As people suggested, I might be deleting this post soon to avoid any chance of my father finding out before I'm ready for the custody battle. I'll use the advice you guys gave me. I know it was risky posting it here as people might find out, but I never had anyone to talk to about all of this before. So it was nice to be able to let everything out for the first time. And that's the end of that story. And I do think that it's good and you should get custody of Bella.
Yes.
And I think that you, for all intents and purposes, are her father.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have no doubt that you love her and want to take care of her. But I think we're really skirting over the fact that, you know, that his wife died and he had to process through that grief.
Mm-hmm.
And then also try to raise two children, one of them which actively hated him and also didn't give a crap that his mom died or that his wife died. Like, it was just like, all right, this stranger died. Next. Everything about that situation sucks. And I hope that OP and his sister, and that he's taking care of her and raising her. And I hope that the dad gets it together and can be allowed to have some kind of relationship, even if it's not a paternal one, some sort of relationship with this daughter and with his son. And I hope the son can go to therapy and let go of his childhood trauma and his past and just accept what he's got. It's all we've got is what we've got.
Am I the a-hole for wanting to break up with my husband after he called our autistic son a burden and said he wants to give him up for adoption?
He just wanted a girl.
30 female, have been married to my husband, 32 male, for 5 years. We've had our share of problems like any couple, but this one's really shaken me to my core, cut me to my quick. We have a son, 5 male, who is diagnosed with autism about 2 years ago. Of course, it hasn't been easy. I see you in the chat or the comments. You see what's coming. But I love him with all my heart. He's sweet, and despite the challenges, I could never imagine a life without him. I imagine your husband can. By the way, this comes from Accurate Fee 9591 on the Am I the A-hole subreddit. So lately, my husband has been acting different. He's more distant, like he's checked out emotionally. I chalked it up to stress from work, or maybe just that we're both overwhelmed trying to balance everything. But then I overheard something that I can't unhear.
Here we go.
That's what you can't unhear from now on for the rest of your life.
Oh, God.
True.
Yep. Could have been worse. I could have Never mind.
He was talking to a couple of his friends, and they were discussing kids, parenting, etc. One of his friends made some offhand comment about how hard parenting is, and that's when my husband let loose. He started saying how our son is too much to handle, that he feel like he's a burden. He even mentioned that sometimes he wishes he could give him up for adoption. Like, what? I couldn't believe it. At first, I thought maybe he was frustrated and saying things out of anger or stress. But he kept going. He wasn't just venting. He said he missed the freedom we had before becoming parents and that he thinks it would be better for everyone if we weren't stuck with this life. Can you come back to this?
Don't think so. Because it's like, what do you, even if you really truly like, I was just venting or whatever else, but it's like, but if you really feel that, then it's like, can I really trust you to father? It's father, right?
Yeah.
But be a father to my child, our child? Can't say.
Everyone
Can't
vote
say
right now. Everyone vote at this moment.
I was absolutely crushed. How could he talk about our son like that? I would never give up on him, not for anything. He's not a burden. He's a beautiful boy who just needs more understanding and patience. Hearing my husband say those things about him just shattered me inside. When I confronted him, he brushed it off, saying I was overreacting, that he didn't really mean it, that he was just blowing off steam with friends. But how can I not take that seriously? He's literally talking about abandoning our son. He didn't apologize. He said he's just overwhelmed and feels like our son's autism is taking over our lives and that he doesn't know how much more he can take. But instead of working through it together, he's talking about running away from the problem. Nikki Farrell says, I have two autistic children and I love them every bit as much as my other two.
1,000%. Also, idea I just had, which probably is what everyone's thinking as well. Divorce, get child support, because that's the best way to get support to the child from him, because he's not he's not going to be the father that this kid deserves. So
Yeah.
just take the money.
Yeah.
And you and utilize it for
Exactly. Kimberly Hawley says, this one hits home. My oldest boy is autistic. No one wanted me to give him up, and I can't imagine how I'd react, especially my significant other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. XX Gloomy says they need a conversation. And like Daniel Papal Cream says, autism does take over people's lives, to be fair. Like, it definitely is a hard thing to do, which I think what John's saying is like, it's a hard thing to do. You kind of need to be all in. And if you're not, if you view it as a burden, it's probably going to be more damaging to the child to have a parent that feels like that.
Yeah, a lot of adverse effects, like probably self-hate, like just so many things come with that. Just take his money and use it.
Now I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. I feel like I can't stay with someone who sees our child as a burden, but I also feel so torn because we're married and I thought we'd always have each other's backs, especially when it comes to raising our child. But if he's really feeling this, how can I trust him to be there for our son and me in the long run? I don't want to break up our family, but I also can't stay with someone who could even think about giving up our child. I love my son more than anything, and I will never allow that. So, am I the a-hole for wanting to leave my husband after this? Should I be trying harder to work this out, or has it already gone too far? There is an update from OP. And OP responds, OP responds to relevant comments. So stick around. But I would love to know what y'all think. Put your comments. But John, what do you think? Is OP the a-hole for wanting to leave her husband?
Not at all. You know, it's like, again, there's anything in a relationship, if someone feels strong of like, hey, this is what I look for in a partner. But this,
it's pretty close to a deal breaker.
Dude, it's just so crazy. And oh my God, the heartbreak OP must feel, you know, and the fear of her son ever like hearing and understanding that from the father. My God. So I feel so bad for OP, so bad for the child. And I just echoing what I said before, I feel like the best path is like divorce long-term, find someone who loves and cares for your son for who he is, and then get the child support to just pour that into the kid.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yep.
Also, Princess Tika has a $5 donation and says, my son Zeke has autism, and yes, it's hard, but I will never give him up for adoption. He is the reason why I want to become a child psychologist, because I want to help kids like him and start my own nonprofit charity for single moms with special needs kids. F that, husband and divorce. Also, Princess Tika, thanks for the insight. I love when the community like actually has experience with the things that we're talking about. It's a great insight. Yeah, and for everyone watching, I would love to know what you think about this. But
comment below.
We do have some relevant comments. So, Uppy Bid 1602 says this is out of Reddit's pay grade.
Yeah, low-key.
Nothing is out of Reddit's pay grade. What are you talking about? We're gonna get into OP's response, but you guys need professional help. I'm not defending anything your husband said, but it sounds like he's overwhelmed and needs help working through that. You accuse him of wanting to run away from the problem, but is he taking concrete steps to try to put up your son for adoption? Is he talking about divorcing you because he doesn't want to raise your son? He has the right to express that he feels like he's breaking under the responsibility of raising a special needs child. It sounds like he expressed that in an ugly way, but it pushes many parents to the brink, and you are the one who immediately jumped to divorce. Do you think going through a divorce would be better for your son? Something I would say is something I've heard parents say is just raising any kind of kid is hard. Totally. And there are points where you're like, fuck, should I be a parent? Am I ready for this responsibility? Not everyone, you know, some people are made for it, but like I have heard that before. It doesn't mean like they're not going to step up and take responsibility. So I'm curious with that additional context with this comment, if that changes. Thoughts?
I think it would be easier for the kid, because imagine growing up with a father that resents you.
Yeah. But it may not be that this father resents. He's just like, I don't even like, I'm just breaking. I'm just breaking under the pressure. It might not be resentful. Like I think we were assuming in the past that's resentful, but I'm sure there are plenty of parents out there that are like, I'm going to show up the best way I can for my kid, but fuck
Yeah, 100%.
Like, this is hard.
And that
need
does,
to just blow some steam.
That does deserve to be acknowledged. I think that it's like, again, already raising a child. It's like he probably wasn't prepared or knew that, you know, there's no rule book on any of it. So I can totally understand, like him being absolutely overwhelmed. And if you want to really give him the benefit of the doubt, I just like hearing that. I think the core of it is that it's not like this is a moment of overwhelm and everything. It's like more speaks to how he truly feels, and that's the an environment you don't want. What I'm saying.
I kind of want to ask my mom if she ever thought about giving me up for adoption.
Hey, Mom.
Here, we can ask her.
Let's try it.
Yeah.
Probably not, but she was like, he can sleep with the dogs.
I mean, he's already so much like a golden retriever. You might as well be raised by him. It's like the Tarzan,
Yeah.
Tarzan.
but golden retrievers instead of the wolves and the monkeys.
Hey, Mom, you are on the show. Did you ever think about putting me up for adoption?
I loved you from the moment you were born.
Aw.
You were like so beautiful.
Okay.
Like you had little floppy ears and big hands and these wide eyes. It was adoration from me the time I saw you.
So we're reading a story. There's this guy that like has an autistic child and basically was like blowing off steam to a friend saying like sometimes I wish I could give the kid up for adoption, or I want to give the kid up for adoption. Do you know, you don't have to like out them or whatever, but like, do you know of any parents that like have blown off steam to you and were like, damn, like sometimes I wish I wasn't a parent?
Well, generally mothers don't think that, but there is one mother that I thought of that you might understand who the child was, but say on yes.
Yeah.
But you cannot say that online. Yeah, that's the only time I've ever heard someone say that.
Yeah.
And that was surprising.
Yeah.
But don't mention.
Well,
you'll be sued.
I won't, but you're also live on the stream.
I know, but no one will know.
Okay, good. Yeah, noted. All right, Mom, I love you.
Okay, I love you. Bye.
Bye.
Call your mom and ask if she ever thought about adopting.
If there's any freaking service. They're in the middle. They're in the middle of the hurricane as we speak.
Dang, so that's an automatic yes. She wanted to.
Oh, Riley's getting that golden hour sunlight.
Right.
Yeah, I am.
So Silver Flame says caregiver burnout is a thing, and depending on the severity of the autism and any accompanying conditions, it can be rough. I know from personal experience. I agree. What's needful here is professional support and counseling, not Reddit. And Spaniard Man 40 says, I have an autistic 3-year-old, and my pregnant wife broke down and literally said the same thing OP's husband said. She has been overwhelmed with a lot lately, and I think she just exploded. I learned early on, after finding out our kid was autistic, that this crap will come up from time to time, especially when they are young. There's a ton of unknowns, and it can be extremely overwhelming. At times, inventing should not be taken seriously. And then Nikki's back says, wow, then OP's husband's reaction is definitely from being overwhelmed about the whole thing. And then Chloe Girl says, and depending on the severity of autism and any accompanying conditions, it can be rough. And they say, that's it. You've said it all. Autism can be hard on both parents and the child. It's understandable the husband is speaking out of frustration, but he did that in an ugly way. They should really get professional assistance and support. And that's where it ends.
Key thing. There was the example the commenter said of like his wife talked to him. That was the wife going directly to their partner. This was the partner talking behind his wife's back.
Yeah.
That is a huge difference, I think.
And I think it's like ideally any issues that you have with raising your children should be brought up to the partner first.
Like, I think honestly, it is 10 times better just sharing with the partner. That's my take.
I agree. But I would love to know what y'all think. Put your answers in the comments below. And with that, we're going to get into this next story.
Yes, sir. Oh, here we go. Guys, my family's doing good. Last I checked, actually, my sister was just texting me. Yeah, going on airplane mode to conserve battery. But love you. That was an hour ago. Which, by the way, again. So, their area is experiencing basically a tropical storm weather. which is like below a Category 1 hurricane. Whereas like Tampa and up north is receiving like a Category 4-5 hurricane things. Although so Riley, I admit I did like some researching today. I'm so curious. If you, in theory, were in the center, the eye of the hurricane, what would that experience be like? And
The whole time?
You want to know what I found?
What?
So basically, my research that I found stated that it actually would be like the winds could be like basically zero, and it would be like this insanely weird calm compared to the chaos you could still, obviously see. It wouldn't be like just like a direct cylinder, but probably you still could see, some sunlight beaming through. And I was like, it was AI. I was talking to AI. So I was like, if I, in theory, was in the eye of the hurricane and, followed it the whole time, would I be okay? And I think it was like, yes, you'd be fine.
Dude, someone has had
somebody, and I was like running out of time today, but I wanted to look up some of those like, Hurricane Hunter videos. We know a person who does that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, has someone being in the eye of a hurricane and tracking it and flying around the world and chasing the sun is two things I've always been curious about. And would be banger.
We haven't seen that guy in a while.
He messaged me.
Okay.
Yeah,
he's good.
He like yesterday.
My neglectful parents don't want to acknowledge the past, so I'm going no contact with them.
Cut him off.
I, male 26, recently went no contact with my whole close family as I realized I have no bond, emotions, or connection with them as a result of absentee parenting throughout my entire life. By the way, this comes from Yamith on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, my parents divorced when I was 1. So, I've only ever known separate families. I've lived with my mom 90% of the time and saw my dad every other weekend. My mom was a successful property lawyer who, when I was 10-ish, moved into a mansion, 5 bedrooms, all en suite, 3 living rooms, think Wisteria Lane in the UK, with my stepdad, and had to pay the mortgage of this as a result. This meant that she basically worked her entire life to pay upkeep. My routine consisted of waking up, going to school, mom would be gone by the time I wake up, coming back from school, making myself food, playing my PC in my own living room, and going to bed. I'm withholding the boohoo act for the rich kid, but I'm holding it in. I'm holding it in.
Holding it in nice and tight.
Just kidding. Or I think I would speak to people living in my house maybe once a week, and even then it would be a passing hello. We would never eat together, as we would eat in our own living rooms and never did anything together on weekends either. My dad, on the other hand, was a successful insurance salesman with his own business making 6 figures, but never seemed to spend any of that on me and my siblings and I, as I only remember eating Tesco value food and receiving the worst dodgy, no-thought gifts as a kid. Think wrong size roller skates from a car boot sale, a freebie highlights of BBC comedy. Pause.
So your family was like, it was like Danny DeVito's character from Matilda. He's just like a dirty used car salesman.
Yes.
Is cheap on everything in his life,
yes,
including his family.
Or a single off-brand Lego set that I played with for years because that was the only thing I got. So OP's literally sitting in their like house mansion room with a living room with like off-brand Legos.
I will not tolerate the disparagement of Mega Bloks in this household.
I was gonna say the same thing.
If we're not gonna put Mega Bloks and up where they deserve to be, then I don't want to hear it.
It's not like mini blocks. It's not like weak blocks. It's
not Lincoln Logs.
And Lincoln Logs have their own place, not quite as high up on the tier list.
I was a Tinker Toy guy. I'm sorry. I was building windmills with the Tinker Toys.
You hear that? He was building windmills while you were farting around with Lincoln Logs.
Sorry, guys. So he would only spend time doing what he and my sibling wanted, outdoorsy, nature, exploration type things, and effectively dragged me along as a requirement, not as someone else to join in. I never had fun because he never took the time to know me and understand what I might have wanted, toys, indoor bonding time type stuff, but I put on a face so that he thought I was okay. My sibling, now 31, has suffered in many ways with mental health, bullying in school,
school and the need to academically excel. This all culminated in them taking 95% of the limited attention of both parents, so I've always just felt like spare parts to them. It's not their fault, but it just contributed to me being the discarded child. It also helped their bond with both of their parents. So now they call them both multiple times a week. Siblings live abroad, which has often been brought up as and spat in my face by my parents. I will assume that you are the same as me, where you have one or two critical moments in your childhood that truly define your relationship with your parents. For me, mine all center around my dad. He was diagnosed with Parkinson's around 10 years ago, but he never told me. He did, however, tell my siblings and also his ex-wife, my mom. Dude, when you refer to your mom as my dad's ex-wife, things are not good.
Yeah, that's kind of a red flag.
Red flag.
On the relationship there.
Ooh.
The woman who chose for me to be her mother.
The birther.
Yes, my designated birther.
My designated birther. Birther's so funny. But anyway. So nearly after a year after they found out about the Parkinson's, they were discussing it idly in conversation and became the ones to reveal that my dad has a life-destroying illness. I have never been so stunned in my life. I remember the color draining from my face and being unable to speak as I saw the faces on my mom and sister as they realized they were the ones that have uncovered this. He did similar things by forgetting me at other crucial moments. I only ever had one grandparent, his mom, as the rest passed away before I could remember. She passed away a few years ago. He forgot to tell me that she died.
Oops. What? Who are you?
Dude.
You're like, who are you?
Oh my God.
Twist, this kid is not actually OP, like the dad's child. That's the conspiracy theory. Dad knows that this is not his real kid.
A fair baby, and that's why they split up.
Yeah.
That's a great conspiracy theory. He called me the day before the funeral and said, "What time will you get to the funeral?" To which I remember answering, "Whose funeral?" Oh my God.
Whose funeral?
Dude, this is so bad. It was 2 minutes before I walked into my office. He didn't forget to tell my sibling. He also got married to my stepmom at some point and never told me.
You are not a part of this guy's family, dude.
It's like, hey, Dad, who's this like woman that like keeps coming in? He's like, yeah, you mean your stepmom? And it's like, I have a stepmom? It's like, yeah, we've been married for 2 years.
He's like, yeah, I married her, idiot.
You freaking stupid. And he's like, what? So just one day he was remarried and that's it. He didn't forget to tell my sibling. So a few years ago, my mom told me that she had a cancer scare and wasn't in the clear yet. My honest thoughts to this were, I didn't care about it.
Uh-oh.
Whoa. No one wants a stranger to get cancer, and that's exactly how I felt. I didn't want this stranger to get cancer, but I don't think I would care if they did? Question mark?
Yeah, okay, I think I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like I treated it the same way, which is like, I think that's the better way to put it. It's like, it's like hearing a stranger here's like, oh my God, I feel terrible, but at the same time, there's not that like deep connection that way it would hit of someone I like truly love and like.
Yeah, it's like if you're riding down the street in the car and someone goes, that guy's gonna get cancer. It's like, that sucks for that guy?
Yeah.
I don't know that guy. Who's that guy?
But yeah, it doesn't hit like if it's like someone in your life.
Yeah.
Family. I've been acting like I love and appreciate them since as far as I can remember as a performance for them. However, after I came back from uni, I struggled more and more to perform to keep them happy. One of the things that tipped the scale was the inability to watch any movie containing a bog standard family without crying and breaking down. Oh, because I just wish I had something similar. In my mind, I literally begged for anything. I begged for a family that actually cared and understood a thing about me, just a single thing. Conversely, since I came back from uni, they have been both very communicative and tried to be part of my life by asking about current circumstances, work, boyfriend, friendships, etc. a lot. It's clear that they want to have a good relationship with their son now, but they both represent symbols of neglect and abandonment in my mind. I recently tried to reconcile with them by explaining to them my feelings about my childhood and quite importantly said I felt they owed me for giving me no love, no attention, and no care and no parenting as a child. I had discussed this with a therapist and we concluded this was a reasonable way to wipe the slate clean to get my parents to acknowledge and reimburse their failures. Reimburse their failures. That's
reimburse.
That's an interesting way of saying it. I don't know. I can't think of another word they would have meant to say.
Upper tax bracket way of describing that.
Yeah, right. I love that. So that way we could potentially find a way to start again. I am really determined to buy a house, but I can't do so without their help. So So I asked for any contribution towards a deposit from both of them. Both of them reacted poorly, said they didn't want to do anything wrong, and are outraged that I would ask them for something like that. By the way, I would be outraged simply out of my noggin if you don't simply tap our profile to join our lives every weekday at 3 p.m. PST. That's all you got to do.
He's gonna lose his mind, guys.
I'm gonna lose my freaking marbles. So just do it.
Do it for John.
Do it for me. After I realized they don't care about how they treated me and they want to try to have a relationship with me without acknowledging the past. I couldn't accept this as a conclusion, so I told them how I felt and have now cut off both of them and never expect to speak to them again.
Wow.
Never again.
Never again. I don't know if I believe that, but
I agree with you. I think it's low contact. Like, you don't have to like respond to them and be buddy and like all of this stuff. But if, a crazy circumstance happens, I think generally you 95% don't need to be bothered with it, but you can, for the crazy scenarios, still be open to that, but I digress. Several people have guilted me for doing this, saying my parents don't deserve to be abandoned by their own child, but it doesn't really faze me currently. Am I the a-hole for cutting them off? Do they deserve another chance to start a bond with their son after 26 years of ignoring him?
Well, 26 years of ignoring him might be laying it on a little bit thick there, brother, but I think low contact now, grow up a little bit more, and then probably end up reaching out in a couple years.
Yeah.
Who knows? If they forget you exist again, you don't need to ever reach back out to them.
That's true. That's true.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think, who knows?
I think,
I think everyone sucks. I think everyone kind of sucks in this story.
There's
a little bit.
I feel like it's generally a good move to be acknowledging of like, hey, they did raise me. I did have a roof over my head and mega blocks, even if it wasn't the Star Wars Lego
Mega
kit to
blocks
play
are
with.
I mean, and OP also did just ask like for money to buy a house from both of them.
Yeah. There's
And
like,
then cut them off. It's
yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
I think OP's like a little off the mark with how they're approaching it. But also like the big, like the main kind of like the big picture point here, which is like, do you give your parents like the time of day and then the validation of kind of like feeling like a good parents when they kind of like basically ignored you for your entire childhood? And I think it is good to tell them like, hey, look, I felt like I was ignored for my whole childhood. I can't watch a movie with like a healthy family dynamic without crying. Like, this should be acknowledged and work on. And if you can't acknowledge it, then that's not good.
It's true. I feel a little bit more now.
It's I think he's a bit off the mark, but like to the big picture, to the main, if we're getting to like the meat of the point that's being made here, I do agree with the general philosophy of what OP is saying here. Like, I do, it's basically like, there are consequences for your actions. Listen, if you're gonna ignore a kid, and not just ignore a kid, but pay attention to the other kids, like just such a knife twisting thing to do to a child.
Yeah.
I think that they're like, hey, you gotta listen, you did the crime, gotta do the time. Like, you don't get to feel like an amazing parent ignoring a kid for their whole childhood.
True. Facts.
That's what I think.
Factuals.
That's what I think.
I told my son his boyfriend isn't allowed to sleep over. Now he's threatening to move out. And this is to answer the question of how do you show support for queer friends and family. So Actual Pop 4382 says, I, 34 female, recently found out my son, 12 male, has been secretly dating his best friend, also 12 male, since year 5, 9 to 10 years old. They started young, man.
Very young.
That's like a long relationship for a 9 to 10 year old.
Yeah. My first one, does kindergarten count?
Well, I guess so.
All the girls in elementary school was my girlfriend. They all took turns. Does it count?
No,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, the longest relationship I've been in is when I was in 7th grade. It was like a year and a half.
That's impressive. My son Harley just finished his year of high school last Wednesday and came out.
High school at 12?
They might be not in America. And came out to me and his dad last Friday. Now, I am supportive of Harley being whoever he thinks he might be. I realize this is an age of experimentation and doesn't automatically mean he's gay. He may just be trying out this identity. Harley has been best friends with his boyfriend since he was in year 1, 5 to 6 years old. Whoa.
Way back.
Damn. Okay, and you still think that they're not dating? And here's where my issue is. If I were to treat this as a real relationship, I would say no to Harley sharing a room with a girl. But since Harley and Luke have been friends for so long, they've had plenty of sleepovers where they sleep in the same bed in the same room. Something that, of course, I never had an issue with before because I didn't know my son was experimenting with his identity. However, now that I know this, I have become very uncomfortable with Luke staying overnight. And so I have banned Luke from staying overnight. Harley was obviously incredibly upset with this, but sometimes I feel as a parent you have to make decisions that do put you as a bad guy in your children's eyes to keep them safe. And frankly, I'm uncomfortable with my son having spicy sleep at his young age. I don't know why she's assuming that they are having spicy sleep. I'm hoping that what she means is if I treated it because they're so young and not because they're gay, because it feels a little homophobic the way she's talking about this. Muriel Strasser says, if she's worried about spicy sleep, have them sleep in different rooms. Yeah, there are so many different solutions than just like banning him from sleepovers altogether. Nikki Bordeaux says, I feel like respecting the relationship as if it were hetero is good, but also I don't think she's being homophobic. The real relationship thing might be about age. That's what I'm thinking. I think it could be about that. I'm just saying if it isn't, then it's a little homophobic. Now, this is where the big problem comes in. Harley's dad, George, says I'm being way overdramatic. When I mentioned my concerns about sex, he said if they want to have spicy sleep, banning them sharing a room isn't going to stop it. But from my perspective, no, it may not eliminate it, but it does help prevent it. He said it wouldn't matter anyway because if they had wanted to experiment spicy sleep wise, they probably would have done it considering they had sleepovers almost every weekend. Which I think is a weird thing to say because they're only 12. He also asked if it ever stopped us when we were teens, which I don't get because it's a completely different world now. And just because we did something irresponsible doesn't mean I want to roll over and make it easy for my children to make the same mistake.
He's not a teenager yet, and I love that he's bringing up whenever you guys were teenagers.
Yeah, the dad has kind of got like a weird idea of this too. I mean, they're literally 12. I think they're both like thinking about, like both parents are thinking about spicy sleep a lot, and this 12-year-old's probably not thinking about it at all.
Who knows?
I don't know. I feel like they're probably not thinking about it at all.
I mean, I don't know.
They could be.
A lot of kids are introduced to porn at a young age.
That's true. But I think also it is probably a little bit different when, growing up like as a queer person and not maybe having access to that. Angelina Targaryen says they both need to chill out. The parents are in opposite sides of the spectrum and the right answer is in the middle. I think I agree with you, Angelina. I think maybe the solution here is providing education to your children, and maybe you have a sleepover but you have to be in separate rooms.
I think this sounds like a good time for that.
All right, but let's keep going. Let's figure more of this story out. Though I have put my foot down to both of them, told George to stop trying to enforce rules in my home and that Luke will not sleep over, and anytime he is over, the door must remain open. George claims he wasn't trying to enforce any rules for my home, though he was clearly trying to pressure me. George says he will not have those rules at his home. Legally, we have split custody of Harley, though I only have weekends and George weekdays. Informally, though, we haven't stuck to that agreement in years and just do 1 week splits. Harley stays with me for a week, then George for a week. I think it's irresponsible for George not to back me on this issue as it causes a non-united front. I believe he should adopt my rules. But of course, Harley is claiming I've ruined his summer holiday since I won't allow Luke over, and they already planned all of these gaming nights. Harley is now saying he will stay with his dad for the entire summer if I don't change my mind, and George has told me he won't force Harley to come and stay with me any more than the legal minimum in our agreement unless Harley wants to do so. Am I being unreasonable here? I honestly don't see how I could be in the wrong. This is the same as I would do if Harley had a real relationship, so I feel like George is unfairly pushing this on me. Why is she using the term real relationship? If it was just about the age, I feel like she wouldn't say a real relationship.
Would you let your 12-year-old have their partner over for sleepover?
I think that if they were friends for a really long time and I knew this kid, I think I'd be like, hey, let's do separate rooms. But there is an update, so let's get into it. Thank you, everyone, for your advice regarding my son. I've read most of the comments and honestly was pretty shocked by the fact that so many trolls found their way onto my post. Just to clarify a few things, I am not homophobic in any way whatsoever. I don't know if you can say that. I have spoken to Harley and asked him if he thinks I'm homophobic, and he said no. Like, hey, son, do you think I'm homophobic? And he's like, no.
Do you think I'm homophobic?
He's like, no, can my boyfriend sleep over? So there, you can all stop saying that now. Secondly, I read most of the genuine advice, and it all seemed to agree with what I was saying about protecting my son from himself and making mistakes around spicy sleep. So I have decided to stick to my guns and keep my rules, as well as starting the proceedings to take my ex back to court to get the custody agreement changed to reflect what we have now. As my ex says, he will not force Harley into staying with me any more than the mandated amount if that is not Harley's choice, which, in my opinion, is unfair since that is not how we've been sharing custody for years now. Sadly, this may take a while. I was considering showing my ex the post I made to make him realize that he was in the wrong for essentially allowing Harley the facilities to have spicy sleep, but I have decided that I will screenshot and send over selected comments so he doesn't see the trolls that seem to derail the point of the post by bringing up things that aren't even relevant. It's frustrating when I'm trying to get genuine advice and I have to wade through hundreds of irrelevant comments. I support Harley being gay if that's how he chooses to identify at the moment. I support him being in a preteen relationship. I just don't think he should be having spicy sleep, which I agree with. Scooter Kid says there is still a decent chance they aren't thinking of anything spicy sleep wise, and she's blowing it out of proportion. Yeah, that is my thinking. I do understand her worries though. I think that is true for a lot of parents. That is also the end of the story, by the way.
Okay.
Which is why a lot of parents won't let you have like like mixed gender sleepover, like co-ed sleepovers and stuff. I think it seems like people are pretty mixed in the comments though. I don't think either opinion is necessarily wrong. I think there are ways that you can go about it to make sure that your child is being safe.
Yeah.
And not doing anything that they're not ready for. I think protecting your children is important.
Oh, dude, my mom found out that I've had spicy sleep before.
What?
Okay, story time. My brother's moving out of his apartment in Tennessee.
Yeah.
And my mom went to go help her.
Yeah.
And she was vacuuming under my bed, and there was like half of a condom thing there.
Half of a condom?
Or like not half of a condom, but like the peeling of like a Trojan.
Yeah.
You know how the packaging and everything. Well, so one of it was there, and she was vacuuming in there, and she had to leave. She's like, I can't do this anymore. And my dad like took a picture of it and sent it, and he's like, oh no, mom found this, sorry son. And I was like, no, because my mom used to work at a pregnancy center.
Yeah.
For my sexual education.
Well, I mean, at least you're using condoms.
Well, no. She was like, don't ever have it, because
Yeah.
she's like helped with these young mothers, and was like, oh no, like don't do it. She gave me. Did you hear about the game of sex?
No.
Okay, so she had this like pamphlet, a briefcase of pamphlets of like sexual diseases you can get, and one of those was the game of sex, and basically like you had dice and a thing, and if you rolled like a 4, you had sex for the first time, but the condom was broke.
Oh my god!
And she's pregnant, and then if you rolled like a 3, you get chlamydia. It's just so bad.
Did you have like good sex education? Because my sex education was just learning about STDs, and that's it.
My
like
mom didn't
school.
want the school to teach me. She wanted to teach me because she thought that a lot of the statistics were wrong and everything like that. Which I mean that's her thoughts on that. But she believes in waiting till marriage.
Yeah, for sure. But like, did you get education on it, or
one time she forgot to sign something and I got school education and she was like, this is wrong, you shouldn't be thinking about this. But I'm like, oh, that's what you do with the banana, that's crazy.
Yeah, see, I didn't get any of that.
Really?
No.
Oh, because you went to Catholic school.
Yeah, I went to Catholic school from K till I was 18. So I literally just got, these are the STDs that you will get, and that's it.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Kristen Foil Hat says, trolls, selective comments, hundreds of irrelevant comments. If he wants to be gay at the moment. Totally not homophobic at all, totally. Yeah, I think the mom is probably a little bit homophobic, but it seems like she is still, for the most part, supportive of her son. I think she has a lot to learn, and hopefully she does that. She educates herself on those, topics as her son grows. But that is the end of this story. My dad started a new family without me, but I realized my stepdad was more of a father. When I was younger, I had a very good relationship with my dad. My parents divorced when I was an infant, but I spent weekdays with my mom and weekends with my dad. My dad and I were like best friends, and we had a simple routine every weekend where we'd get 5 Redbox movies to finish during the weekend. We'd go fishing, we'd play soccer, and we'd bike to this little secret playground near the zoo. By the way,
how old is this? Redbox?
It's got to be at least like early 2000s, mid 2000s.
Do they still have
John
Redboxes?
Time.
No.
John Times.
This comes from Best of Redditor Updates subreddit. Something else I was used to was my dad always having new girlfriends that never lasted more than 2 weeks. The only one who lasted longer, a woman I really liked who lasted 2 years, left my dad when I was 10. But my relationship with my dad was the same as ever until I was 12 and my dad met his now wife. The woman has 2 kids, one older and one younger than me. They moved into my dad's apartment after only 2 weeks. Wow. My room was already small, but my tiny mattress and 3 small plastic drawers were shoved into the corner of the room to make space for the daughter's bunk bed and dresser. Before I knew it, they started putting my bed in a closet until I came to visit and often would forget to take it out at all.
Why is all the stories we read, it's like, yeah, everyone's a Harry Potter kid.
Yeah, what's going on with your parents? When my dad moved into a bigger house, the older sister got her own room while I had to share one with the younger sister every weekend. The 3 small drawers I had were soon just 1 drawer because the little sister wanted the other 2 for her toys. Slowly,
I want my second bedroom.
I need both of my bedrooms.
But last year I had 37.
Yeah. Slowly, I started visiting my dad less and less. Then everything went especially wrong when my dad got his girlfriend pregnant after 1 year.
Ooh.
Seems like that whole relationship was moving very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
They got married, and I didn't know that for a whole month because he didn't tell me.
No one told?
No one told you? You weren't at the wedding? I also didn't know my baby half-sister was born until weeks after she came home from the hospital.
Oh my gosh.
Seems like he's just moved on to this new family.
Yeah.
Well, you get one practice family.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
To make his new family happy, he started spoiling them and stopped paying child support for me and my mom. You can't. Is that legal? Doesn't seem
Stop
legal.
saying. You can't stop.
You can't stop.
I don't think you can stop.
You can stop at
legally.
18.
Well, I hope he
Yeah,
is
you can stop
18.
at 18, but
His
you can't
wife
stop
is a
before that.
jobless gold digger who only cooks and cleans and shops. Her older daughter is having her college paid for by my dad, and the younger daughter is the definition of a 10-year-old Sephora kid. As for my half-sister, she is still a toddler, but is clearly spoiled and hates the word no. To be fair, all toddlers hate the word no. The routine I used to have with my dad is
What's a
now
Sephora
dead.
kid?
So there's this thing where a lot of like middle schoolers are just running rampant in Sephora and messing up all the makeup and getting all the new, they need all the new Sephora drops.
Are there new drops?
I don't know. They just need all the new Sephora stuff and they go in.
Why do you need new stuff? Doesn't your face stay the same?
I don't know.
It's like Prime. It's like 10-year-olds with Prime.
Yeah.
Well, I guess what there's new looks coming out all the time.
They're just they want to buy all this expensive makeup and they're like, Mommy, I need my makeup.
Huh.
They're like 10.
How much is makeup these days?
Makeup is expensive. I mean, people who are like into makeup, you get eyeshadow, which is like $30 if it's a cheaper, small palette. And then you're buying like foundation and concealer and mascara.
And then you got to get your face wash stuff for like when you go to sleep.
And your face care stuff is like, I don't know, a couple months. Makeup lasts longer, but like face care stuff doesn't.
But then you get bored of it and you're like, oh, I need a new one. I need a new eyeliner. I need a new eyeshadow.
Yeah.
And it never stops.
Never ends. It's a never ending cycle. As for my stepdad, he's been with my mom since I was 5. Apparently, though I don't remember it, I once called him dad, and because of that, my dad told me I shouldn't love that man like a dad because... What? What's going on?
Because you're pressing the wrong button.
I'm pressing the same button. Oh. Okay, you should have specified. I'm not pressing the wrong button. I'm just pressing the wrong side of the button.
It's a phone.
I don't use phones. And because of that, my dad told me I shouldn't love that man like a dad because he's not really my father. Apparently, that's why I started acting like I hated my stepdad. I never knew why I felt that way about him since he's never been anything but good to me. And in the last few years, I have felt much closer to him. He feels like the dad that my birth father should try to be.
Okay, so you have like a real dad
so you
now.
You got your stepdad.
You got your stepdad.
Yeah.
Sometimes your real dad is just a stepping stone, to your stepdad. That's way better.
Sometimes the real dad are the friends that you made along the way.
Yeah. The real dad is the dads you made along the way.
Over time, my dad had started to treat me differently. He rants to me about his political beliefs and conspiracy theories about aliens and stuff.
Dude, sounds lit.
He also brags about his new business and his new family, and if I ever try to share anything with him, he gets annoyed and shuts me up by continuing with his stories. It's like now he sees me as a buddy rather than his freaking daughter. Also, it was during these last few years that I learned the reason he and my mom divorced was not because they weren't right for each other, but rather because my father cheated on my mom while visiting his family
called it.
in Canada. Damn.
His girlfriend's in Canada.
No. The mom was visiting her family in Canada. I am now 15 and I have become a completely different person than the one my birth dad remembers. I no longer love the beach or soccer. I now love music and reading and writing.
I'm so mature.
I have written and published 2 books since
I'm
2022.
very mature.
And I'm writing the 3rd in my series. Damn.
What if it's like Diary of a Wimpy Kid? She's like one of the writers.
Dude, Diary of a Wimpy Kid is slap.
Yeah.
That would be crazy. I love Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Diary by Wimpy Kid was like one of my favorite books.
I loved that series.
It shows.
Yeah. My stepdad supports my dreams and loves me so much that he brags about me to friends and family and calls me his daughter. My stepdad has an actual daughter who I love like a real sister, though she lives up north with her boyfriend and I don't see her often. Still, though, I love them more than I loved my birth dad and half-sister who I'm actually related to. My dad blames me for never calling, though because of how he's treated me lately, I don't feel like I owe it to him. I also go months at a time without visiting him now because I no longer feel comfortable at that house, especially since the bed I sleep on over there is literally considered their guest bed. They don't see his family, and it's not cool.
Wait, but like if she doesn't live there and...
Well, she doesn't live there full time because she goes back and forth with her, and they've never really given her a room. In my birth dad's house, I am a guest. Because of all of this, I resent my dad. I haven't told anyone about this, so no one is calling me a jerk. But I'm wondering if I am because my dad is in love with his new family, and I'm wondering if it's bad that I'm not happy for him. Am I the jerk?
You know, sometimes you got to let go of your dad so he can move on, you know?
Yeah.
You know?
If you love something, let it go, and if it's meant to be, it'll come back to you.
Yeah.
Exactly. Sometimes you find new dads.
Sometimes you find new dads. It's like you're never going to get it right on the first relationship.
Exactly.
You know, you're learning. You don't really know what you're doing, but by the second time you're a dad, you're like, okay, like I know how to love, you know, this family.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
That's why you
how
need
to not be
practice.
toxic. Yeah, it just takes some time.
Yeah.
It takes some time.
to
So
be
like,
a
you know,
dad.
1, 2, 3 practice families. By the 4th,
You bet. By the 4th, no leniency. You got to be a good dad.
no, you
got to
be a good dad by
Yeah.
then. Yeah.
Yeah. But there are some comments. Just another Sadie says, not the jerk. Your dad failed you. He's the only reason why you don't have a relationship with him. Glad your stepdad is good to you. Hope you're calling him dad now.
Whoa, now a relationship goes 2 ways. You said your dad failed you, and I said, whoa, now a relationship goes 2 ways.
Yeah, you failed your dad.
Your dad.
The Balaram says, absolutely not the jerk. Your father failed on his only task of being exactly that, a father. So you are in your right to cut any connection you want with him. Update! There is an update though, but I think... What?
Just how you said that.
Update!
Like you were surprised.
I was.
I mean, I'm like I guess like what the core thing is that she now has a better dad. And,
Yeah.
But like what like what's
What's the problem here?
what's the problem here?
You got a better dad.
She was
Seems like you have a better
abandoned.
dad.
Her other dad sucks.
Your other dad
and you're
sucks,
feeling
but-
guilty for being mad at your other dad. It's okay. He left you. He wasn't a father to you. You don't owe him anything. Move on. Find a new dad.
Find a new dad. It's like, you know, just because
your stepdad's a rebound doesn't mean that
just because
he's not still your dad.
rebound dad. I think like, you know, your real dad may have left you, but that is not a reflection on like who you are as a person. It's not a reflection of like you not being able to find another dad that's going to be able to like you more. And who knows, maybe that new dad will have just left another family.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
yes.
and then you could come together and like really enjoy
Your
and
time
really
together.
enjoy like rebounding off each other's broken families.
Yes.
Father,
You know?
daughter.
And as I think this is a great quote that I heard recently, but like 2 rebounds cancel each other out.
That's what I've heard. But there's an update. Hello. There's an update. Oh, we got a doggy. Oh, she doesn't want to be there.
She's
immediately
gonna be...
trying to run away. Oh, so cute. So I made a post a few months ago talking about how my dad has basically stopped treating me like his daughter now that he has a new family. Not much has happened since, but here's an update anyway.
Woo!
Since I made the initial post, I've only visited my dad's house once, and safe to say, I truly am nothing more than an uncomfortable guest in the house. I should start off by saying that every time I spend a few months without going to his house, my dad tries to play all innocent and calls me on Fridays to ask where he should pick me up. I never answer because he always calls me when I'm in class or busy with studying, so he'll call my mom. But because he never asks me in advance, I tend to have plans on weekends with my cousins, friends, or just to work on writing since I'm still working on my third book. And it takes a lot of focus that I can't get in his house. Oh, she can't focus in his house.
Okay, so she's splitting her time between her stepdad, that's great, and her real dad, that
who's
sucks.
Not great, and who's
she
expecting
feels,
her to drop everything to go hang out with him.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't want to talk about you. I want to talk about me.
He's like, let me tell you about the aliens. They're coming down. They're taking your jobs.
They're taking your jobs.
That's why you don't have a dad anymore, because I've been replaced by an alien.
But that alien's doing a great job.
He's doing a really good job. Actually, I'm now just going to call him Eric. Whoa.
Eric.
He's not your dad anymore. He's Eric.
He's a DJ.
He's honestly not been as much of a dad figure to my stepdad, to me, as my stepdad has. Anyway, it was my mom who decided I would go over to his house, despite the fact that Eric hasn't paid child support in over 2 years now, and I hate going to his house. My mom says I should just visit from time to time to keep him from getting the court involved. That's a great reason to go visit.
Well, he stopped paying, so you should stop going.
Yeah, you should get the court involved because he's not paying.
Get that bag.
It's illegal for him not to pay.
That's what I'm saying. It's illegal. It's illegal.
So you should 100% get the court involved.
She confuses me, sometimes saying that he's a deadbeat man, but also sometimes saying that he's my loving dad who deserves my respect.
I mean, she probably thinks both of them at different times. Like you can hold that cognitive dissonance.
You can have both.
You can hold both.
However, under the circumstances, I'm fairly certain that nothing would be any different since I never visit him and he doesn't pay child support anyway. In fact, once on Christmas, he bought a bunch of new gifts for his family and wrapped them up and everything. But weeks before Christmas, when I was visiting, he drove to Walmart so his wife could do groceries, and he handed me $200 and said, Merry Christmas, buy yourself something, and then the rest can be child support or whatever.
I don't think that's how it works.
I don't
Also,
think
isn't child support like a couple
More?
$100 at least a month?
Yeah. I bought 2 books, but the rest of the money that was supposedly child support was nothing near the amount he owed.
Yeah.
I can imagine. I have told my mom I would be happier if he lost custody of me and my stepdad adopted me, but she thinks that's too extreme and says he's still your dad. He deserves your respect and love. No, he doesn't. He's got to earn that respect and love.
Yeah.
He doesn't just get to have it.
Just because you're blood does not mean you have to deal with the mud.
So true. Now, about the weekend I visited him. From the minute Eric picked me up, all he talked about was his new family. He talked about the older sister and her boyfriend, the younger sister and the shopping she does, and my half-sister who can now talk a little bit. I stayed silent the whole ride until he asked me a question about my school. And when I answered his question, he got frustrated and went into a conspiracy theory rant.
Wait, why did that launch
Why
him
was
into
that?
a rant?
Yeah. Opie was like, yeah, I've been going to school. I've been liking my history classes.
History,
like, that's a lie.
That's fake history. You know what they used in World War I?
Cats. Or spies.
They put
That was
bombs
actually
on
the Cold
carrier
War.
pigeons. And
That was the Cold War.
that actually was, they put bombs on carrier pigeons in World War I too.
But being around conspiracy theorists, it doesn't take much to tip them over into a little rant.
Yeah,
It's
they
pretty
always
easy.
want to be there.
Yeah.
I tuned him out for the rest of the drive after that. The rest of the weekend wasn't any better. The older sister did what she always does when I visit and locked herself in her room, only coming out when I left the house or when I was in the bathroom so she wouldn't have to talk to me. And the younger sister had a friend of hers over, and her friend had her stuff tossed on my bed and was sitting on it because it's the bed she sleeps in when she has sleepovers. You don't all sleep in the same room when you have a sleepover? She has to sleep in the guest room?
That's so not fun with a sleepover.
That's like a boring sleepover.
I feel like it's like putting one person in prison.
Yeah. I'd be like, why are you even sleeping over at that point?
And then you're also like hearing all the fun they're having in the other room, and you're just like trying to sleep and you can't.
Eric's wife did a poor job of hiding how bothered she was by me visiting. More than once, she has been completely shocked I was visiting because Eric didn't tell her, so she couldn't disagree. Why? So he's not telling anyone that he wants OP around? Like, because OP was saying she didn't get a lot of forewarning.
Makes sense whenever he has a whole nother family. He has to, like, one day you'll have enough energy to be a family for two families.
It's
be a dad
a
for
lot
two
of
families.
work to just be a dad to one family.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you got to be a dad for two families.
Yeah, it's kind of like the whole idea where it's like, you know, if you split your focus too much, you're not going to do anything right.
Exactly.
And if you just focus in on the one thing,
it's like if
then
you split your soul into seven Horcruxes, then you're really not even a person anymore, and you have to drink unicorn blood to survive.
And no one wants to do that.
No one wants to do that.
Well, one person wants to do that.
And also, most of the weekend consisted of Eric taking me and my half-sister to a playground so she could run around with her friends. And I sat on a bench to read, but I didn't have much time to myself since Eric kept leaving and told me to keep an eye on my half-sister, who is a wild and fussy kid. I'm not a babysitter. And while I'm good with kids, that doesn't mean I enjoy putting my own time aside to look after them when they're not my responsibility. I had to spend 2 days in either pure chaos or discomfort, and I had a talk with my mom about me not wanting to go over there anymore. She said that's fine, and she won't force me to go anymore. But since she said that before, I don't believe her. I don't have anyone to really talk to about this, and this whole situation is stressing me out because I don't remember my dad ever being as happy as he is now, and I still sometimes feel like I should be happy for him. I don't know what to do, and any advice on anything I could do would be helpful. Everyone who's commented on my last post so far has said I'm not the jerk and that Eric isn't acting the way a dad should, but he still reaches out from time to time and says I'm his baby girl who he loves. Honestly, I almost cry when he says that because it reminds me of how we used to be. Am I overthinking all this or overreacting? What should I do? Am I the jerk here because I'm not happy for my dad? And there are some comments.
No, you're not the jerk.
And an update.
I feel like he's acting so inconsistent
Yeah.
that it's like causing you more hurt. You know, like there's that whole thing in like relationships that it's actually not the person that's like a constant that is the cruelest person. It's the person that is like hot and cold.
Yes.
Like that is more cruel than being consistently cruel.
Well, yeah, because you know what it feels like to, have a good relationship with them.
And it feels like this back and forth of like I want you and then I don't is putting OP on this emotional roller coaster that is not going to benefit her sanity and like her emotional well-being. And so at a certain point you have to say like, okay, I've been continuously hurt by this person.
Yeah.
Do I want to subject myself to this kind of behavior and this treatment again? Or is it more healthy to remove myself and just stay with my stepdad? And it feels like it's getting to the point
healthy to remove.
where it's like time to just remove yourself a little bit.
I think so.
I would love to know what y'all think though.
Yeah. Put your thoughts in the comments.
Here we go. This is a good one.
Kimberly finds says mom is an enabler. Either she's trying to make up for her own guilt for choosing that dude as her kid's bio parent, like she's at fault for OP's treatment, or she's also toxic and treats bio dad as a sitter. Yeah, hopefully not this. I don't know. She is. I don't know. I think she just has this idea that OP should have a relationship with her dad.
And I think that's just coming from a place of like what the norm is.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like he really wants to have that. So
Riley, can I put my camera down a little bit? I'm feeling like a cozy mood.
He's feeling a little cozy. But there are some comments. Catch Hefty 5872 says, you should tell your mom the more she forces you to go to your dad's, the more it's going to ruin your relationship with her, as she's not listening to what you want and how you feel. You should also tell her you no longer trust what she says, as she has told you before that she will no longer force you into going, but she does it anyway. If you can't talk to your mom, have a one-on-one chat with your stepdad and see if he can help when it comes to your mom. And there is another update, so let's get into it.
Let's hit it.
Hello, everyone. It's only been a couple of days since my last post. Since then, I have taken the advice most of you have given me, and I talked to my mom about how I don't want to keep being forced by her to visit Eric, my donor, as most of you refer to him as. Long story short, I'm not 100% sure she won't continue to send me over to Eric's house, but she did wind up sending him long texts, chewing him out for not treating me right, and telling him to step up and pay his child support. That's what we like to see.
Wow.
About darn time.
Come on. He didn't answer her, though, so I followed some other advice and wrote him a long text myself that detailed how I felt about his treatment of me the last few years. The thing is, as soon as I sent the text, he called me to yell at me and called me spoiled and overdramatic. He said it's my fault we don't have a relationship since I never visit or talk to him anymore, and because I mentioned the unpaid child support, he said that I was only reaching out to him for money. This guy sucks. I nearly cried during that phone call and wound up just hanging up on him. He sent some angry texts to my mother as well, but later that day, he left a voicemail on my phone saying, money is kinda tight for me right now. I'm completely broke. You know I love you, right?
I hope my love can make up for the money I lack.
He's like, I'm kind of tight on love right now, so I can't give you that much either.
Well, maybe you should put some time in and get another job to pay for me.
Maybe you should stop, I don't know, being the worst. The thing is that I know that's a lie because I'm always seeing my younger stepsister make TikTok videos showing off the Sephora and other expensive crap he buys her all the time. He just doesn't have enough money to give to you because he doesn't want to give you money. He's like, oh, I want to pamper all of my other kids, and he doesn't see you as like one of his children anymore.
Yeah, you're a part-time child.
Part-time child.
Which means you get part-time benefits.
Yeah, you get minimum
You get love
wage.
or money, not
You
both.
get minimum wage love, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think I'm done trying. And some of you suggested asking my stepdad for help. I wish I could, but when I asked my mom again if he could adopt me, she said something that absolutely crushed me. Apparently, my stepdad himself said he doesn't feel like he should adopt me. My stepdad is a very kind and sympathetic man, but he's also extremely unconfrontational and thinks it would be like a slap in the face to Eric if he adopted me. Also, because I noticed some confusion about this in the comments on my last update, the reason my parents divorced was because he cheated, but it wasn't with his current wife. My parents split up when I was still basically an infant, and Eric lived in Canada where he jumped from girlfriend to girlfriend there before he moved down here and continued to jump from girlfriend to girlfriend. When I was 12, he met and knocked up his wife, Alejandra, and married her without telling me till a month after their courthouse wedding.
Whoa.
Also, some of you asked how old I am. I'm 15.
Oh my
really hard. This is
gosh.
so hard.
That's crazy.
Yeah, this is real bummer. It feels so ridiculous that I have this stress on me at my age, and I really can't talk to anyone about it. I can't talk to my stepdad because he's always working, and I'm only ever with him when my mom is there too, and I don't like talking to her because she's always telling me that I'm too young to really feel how I feel.
Oh.
You're not too young. You know your emotions.
You're not too young to feel those feelings, you know?
And I mean, even if your feelings were more exaggerated because of your youth, that doesn't make them any less valid. This really sucks. No one's there for
Sounds
OP.
like no one really understands OP.
Yeah.
No one understands
No one
me.
understands me.
I just
I'm
want
all
Sephora
alone.
makeup. Is that too hard to ask for?
God. The last time I tried to discuss my mental health with my mom, I asked her if I could start going to therapy. And she said that therapists are dumb and that I can just talk to her or pray to God if anything is wrong.
Oh my God.
Or watch OK Story Time.
Yeah, it's free.
Free therapy.
Damn. And the thing is that OP does talk to her and she's like, no, it's fine. Just go see your dad. Sucks.
Yeah, I feel like OP must feel really alone.
Really isolated in that. I'm not super religious, and talking to her about anything serious makes me deeply uncomfortable. It's not that I don't love her, since she's my mom after all, but she's pretty intense and intimidating. My dad has not reached out to me again since his voicemail. Frankly, I don't want to even think about him for a long while now. If he suddenly realizes how badly he screwed up with me and apologizes, then maybe I'll try to rebuild our relationship. As for my stepdad, he may not want to adopt me, but he still calls me his daughter. Never just his stepdaughter. And I truly feel loved by him. I love his parents like they're my own grandparents, and his whole family is so warm and loving. I might make another update if anything else happens, but for now, I'm just going to focus on school and my books. Maybe now that I understand that Eric really doesn't care that much about me anymore, I can finally focus on finishing my third book. Just write about him in your book.
Wait, I thought she was 22 and she had like 2 books.
No,
or
she's
was
15.
this when she was 15?
No,
So
she
she's
is
written
15.
2 books at 15?
Yeah.
What?
And he can't even get her like some child support? Come on.
Wild, dude. Shout out her. She's kind of
Yeah,
crushing it.
you're killing the game. Just write about your experiences in your books. That's therapy.
Yeah, I mean, hey, she is
Journaling.
writing this experience
in the Reddit.
in Reddit, and like it's kind of novel worthy.
Mm-hmm. I dedicated my first book to him, and I honestly don't regret it. I dedicated that book to the dad he used to be. It's not like he'll ever read that book since he doesn't think it's smart that I want to be a writer, but I don't care. But she's already published them. Come on.
Yeah, come on. Give her some support. Give her like a little bit of support. That's crazy that you're not supporting your daughter.
Who's like a
who's
published
a
author.
Published author. 2 books.
2 books.
Working on her third.
And
she's not even out of college, dude, or high school.
Thank you to everyone who gave me advice and told me I wasn't the jerk. I feel so much better with those reassurances. Thank you. And there are some comments and...
Yeah, you got an update.
And another update.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, it's smart. I would say this is pretty smart. You're going to Reddit to get other people's advice, even though you can't go to therapy.
Yeah, I mean, go to the free advice place, you know?
Yeah.
Go to the free advice place, and all the people in the comments can give you free therapy.
Free therapy that is always very tempered.
Always
and
so
rational.
nice and sweet
and helpful. Really.
Always.
Even the bad ones.
Even the bad ones. But there are some comments. A Tiny Dancer says, I'd reply that maybe he'd stop being broke if he wasn't spoiling his new family and ignoring his obligations to his actual daughter. And tell him that honestly, he hasn't acted like your dad in years, so let's just stop pretending. And he could be happy with his replacements because you're done being ignored and walking on by someone who obviously doesn't want me there. Push me away, Tiny Dancer. Jez Lander says, you say your father sent you a text saying, you know I love you, don't you? You should respond, no, I don't know this at all. I know you say you do, but you have never shown me this love. Love isn't just a word you can throw at me as you throw a bone to a dog.
Yeah.
Love is a feeling of support and safety. It's a deep felt knowledge of total acceptance. It's the tissue when I cry, the back rub when I'm sad or hurt. It's that wink at a shared joke and the hug of joy and glorious celebration. That, daddy dear, is love. That is what I both expect and need from you. As things stand, you're a horrible disappointment and a terrible father.
Oh my gosh.
But there's an update.
Wow.
That was
Damn.
Also just got eviscerated.
Yeah.
Eviscerated.
These comments were like, here, this is exactly what you should say word for word and it'll work.
And it did.
Well, we don't know. They haven't used that. Wasn't OP saying that.
Well, it did for me.
It worked here.
It worked for me. I was like,
it's been tested.
I was riveted and raveted.
This is peer reviewed. You can take it
by
into
by
action.
us. We are the peers.
Exactly.
But I feel like OP has been fairly straightforward with.
I think so.
With the dad, like it's like how many opportunities can you give real dad before you just have to say like I'm cutting you off?
I think
I feel like we're at the
very
cutting off
yeah.
phase.
I think so.
I don't know if we need more.
I think he's made no effort. And it shouldn't be on her to constantly have to kind of whip him back into dad shape.
Yeah.
He should want to do that himself.
And take him to court.
Bod into a rad bod.
You shouldn't have to beg for love. It should be given willingly. But there is an update.
Let's hit it.
Hi, everyone. It's been about 9 days since my last update. I just want to say thank you all for your support and advice. There were a lot of people asking similar questions, and it was all a bit overwhelming. So I didn't respond to any of them directly, but I will answer those questions here before I get on to the actual reason for this update. So a lot of you were saying that I should talk to a school counselor or something, which actually I was kind of thinking, I was like, maybe you could talk to a teacher.
Yeah, I saw that in one of the comments.
Yeah.
It said like, oh yeah, maybe you can talk to a school counselor.
That is what I was going to say.
A good free option for what you are trying to do here.
Yeah, and maybe not necessarily, like they probably don't have all of the
resources or the equipment, but it's a good starting point.
Yeah,
it's like, I mean, the same as Reddit,
to.
right? It's like Reddit is not the end all be all.
Yeah.
It is the starting point for helping yourself.
Exactly. And sometimes you don't even need a person to give you advice. You just need to rant.
Get it out.
That's true.
The thing is that I do virtual homeschool. Oh, no. So she's so isolated. And my mom works from home a lot, so I'm honestly just a bit scared to try that. Plus, even if I did talk to my counselor without my mom being around to hear, I really don't trust any adults to keep these kinds of things to themselves. I know that sounds a bit dumb and paranoid, but it's really just how my brain thinks. A lot of you also said that I should bring up the therapy thing with my mom again, but I know for a fact that won't work. My mom really doesn't believe in therapy and believes that praying to God or having her preach about the Bible to me will solve everything. As for my stepdad, I love the guy like a real father, and I see him as my true dad, even if he doesn't want to adopt me. But he really is no help with the therapy issue either, because he always just agrees with whatever my mom says to avoid arguments.
And I also understand the stepdad not wanting to adopt because it could be that if he did adopt, the real dad would cause a whole ruckus, and it would actually be more pain for OP
than
if he didn't adopt.
No, I think there's a lot of things that would potentially go wrong in that situation. But
It's
it
understandable.
Sucks. Yeah.
It's understandable.
But I am doing fine right now, though. And I honestly think things are going to start getting better. And I think this is because I'm pretty sure my mom is finally going to file for sole custody and court-ordered child support. There we go.
Wow.
That's what we
Okay,
needed
so
this
at least
whole
we're
time.
seeing a change.
Yeah, at least in the mom.
Yeah.
One thing I guess I should have made clear is that my parents sorted out their custody and child support agreement amongst themselves when they divorced. The agreement is that I spend weekends with my dad and he pays my mom $100 per week. I'm pretty sure my dad only stuck to that agreement to keep himself looking good until he could finish his U.S. legalization process, since he used to be an immigrant from Canada. Once he was legalized, he stopped paying child support and began spoiling his new fam. Anyway, I went to my dad's house last weekend. This time, my mom didn't force me, and I actually decided I wanted to go because I wanted to give my dad one last chance. He picked me up from my mom's house. We didn't get down the street before we were fighting. I was excitedly telling him about a business idea I had where I can make book boxes and sell books with DIY necklaces and hand-painted bookmarks that match book covers, and he was telling me my idea was stupid and unprofitable and a waste of money and time.
Dude, you're a waste of money and time. Like
You're the one who's broke.
Yeah, who are you to be lecturing someone on business?
You don't know anything about business or family or
Also,
dad.
okay, wait.
Dadding.
Wait,
parenting.
this is on topic, but like a little bit off. I'm a big fan of if you see someone's going in the right direction with an interest, be very supportive, even if it's initially bad.
Exactly.
And then be hypercritical of like the second or then be critical as they are like getting into it.
Yes.
I generally don't think it's helpful to be critical with a new art form or a new interest
Idea.
right out the gate.
Agreed,
because
especially
then
with kids.
you'll squash creativity and their motivation.
Yeah, it's like if, a little kid came up to you and showed you a drawing that they made and you're like, wow, the proportions on this is completely wrong. This is
Completely
the
awful.
color. Oh,
Yeah.
these don't mesh at all. It's like, no, you support them and then they get better.
Yeah, but there's a certain point where you offer like feedback because like one of my friends came with a video and he was like, "Oh, what do you think?" I'm like, "Dude, this is great." Which it was like the initial framework was really good, but it wasn't like amazing. But then the second one he made was leagues better. I'm like, "Dude, this second one is so much better." And I said all the ways that it was better, even though it's like not perfect, but it was so much better than the first one.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of get this feedback of like, okay, like this is how things are better, how they're improving so you're giving constructive criticism, but with like a frame of reference of what's come before rather than just saying it's bad.
Exactly. It was an hour-long drive to his house and he was getting political or angry over every little thing I said. When I told him I was thinking about applying to colleges like Harvard or University of Chicago in the future.
Oh, Harvard. You went to Harvard, Fia, right?
Yes. He began to yell about all the dangerous Cuban and Mexican immigrants in Chicago and began saying that Harvard is a waste of time since it's just as good as any other college, but rich people go there, which is why it's so famous.
I mean,
true. I mean, a little bit true.
You don't go to Harvard for the education.
Yeah, it's like
you go to the
prestige.
Harvard for the network.
I wound up yelling at him that he can't act so high and mighty over non-white immigrants because he was also an immigrant not too long ago. Also, I never understood why my dad is always so racist about Hispanic people when my mom and his current wife are both Latinas.
He's
Who is
like,
this guy?
I can't have any more Mexicans coming in because they might steal my wife because they're so good looking. I'm very attracted to all of these Latinas.
He's like, if I see another Latina, I'm
gonna
starting
explode.
a new family.
Boss.
He went on one rant after another, and I was so sick of it that instead of staying quiet like always, I actually argued back. Because of that, my dad spent the whole weekend complaining about my bad attitude. I told my mom about all of this. I think the final nail in the coffin that finally pushed her to want sole custody was when I told her about a rant my dad went on about the difference between men and women. I wound up memorizing and writing down everything he said and texted it to my mom. I asked her not to talk to him about it, but she was so pissed at him. Here are some of the things he said. 99% of women want to latch on to rich men. Didn't you say you're broke?
Yeah, I'm part of the 1%.
Nearly all women are greedy and unloyal. Men don't like successful and independent women because they're prideful and bossy. It's more important for a wife to respect her husband than it is for him to respect her. It's wrong for wives to make more than their husbands, and so much more. This guy he's a piece of work. And then he smiled and said, "But you're the exception, pretty girl."
Oh, wow.
I hate this man.
I hate everything that this guy stands
I
for.
hate him so much. There was so much more that happened just last weekend, like him saying some of my guy friends don't really count as real men since some of them are gay, and trying to tell me my summer volunteering opportunity is a bad idea since the people there are different, even though my mom's side of the family comes from there. I won't list every annoying thing he did, and I'm finally done. This was his last chance and he blew it. I just want to say I'm pretty sure my mom is not sending me over anymore. She spent all morning looking for my birth certificate because she's wondering if she needs it in court. She wants to get me full time and have my dad pay child support. At the moment, he owes a lot of child support, and having him contribute financially would help me so much with preparing for college, get into Harvard, make him pay for Harvard money.
And Harvard ain't cheap.
Although I did not mention the names of my books in the other posts, I didn't share them because I didn't want a bunch of internet strangers seeing my social media
It's just
tags.
secret marketing.
Yeah, at the back of the book. But I will share the titles with anyone who DMs me. I will probably make another update if anything else happens, and there is another update.
Another update.
I hope he says, hopefully my next update will be after we've gone to court.
Oh,
There
right.
is
So
a
we're gonna
fourth
see.
update.
We're gonna see if
Money.
the child support comes through. I'm assuming.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Yep.
Oh boy. All right. Let's see.
Oh boy. Oh, just launching right into it. Update.
Ooh.
Hey everyone. It's been 3 months since my last post, and quite a lot of crappy stuff has gone down.
Oh, I still.
Dang
we can't
it.
catch a break.
Just let her freaking write her books
Yeah.
in peace. Let me start off by saying thank you to everyone who DM'd me and sent me their support. I know I haven't answered a lot of you, but that's just because the amount of messages is well over 50 and it's kind of overwhelming. But I appreciate all of you, especially those who have reached out and said that they're going through similar things, or that they've gone through similar things.
This exact same thing where you write
Damn.
3 books and your dad doesn't support you.
I hope not.
It's a really common thing. You're all so strong, and I hope you're doing all right. So, as for the actual update, my mom never took Eric, bio dad, to court. What?
I thought that was the whole point.
Come
That was the whole
on.
point.
What the heck?
After 3 days of listening to my mom and Eric scream at each other over the phone, insulting each other, and hearing Eric yell about child support being stupid at a government con, he sent $200 to shut my mom up and now sends that same amount of money randomly.
That is the
Not-
same as what's been happening. Nothing has been resolved.
My mom lied about not forcing me to see him again. I remembered we were in the car when Eric called on a random Friday to ask if I wanted to come over, and maybe I was a little cold, but my mom got mad at me after I said I didn't want to go. I reminded her that she promised not to force me, and I got yelled at and guilt-tripped into calling Eric back and agreeing. That weekend was awful. Eric tried to fight with me on his sexist beliefs. He complained that I was complaining too much about his inappropriate jokes and stories. And then there was a whole issue about us arguing over women's workout clothes. For some context on the last one, Eric and I saw a couple biking together in the neighborhood, and he commented that the lady was trying to get some because she was in leggings and a crop top. This guy sucks.
Get some
Solve the
cardio.
earth kind of man.
I told him she was just working out and that the guy she was with was probably her boyfriend. Plus, she was at least 10 years younger than Eric, but he just said, that doesn't mean she's not trying to get more guys with those clothes. Women only wear workout clothes to attract men and get laid. It's definitely not to work out. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Hey, maybe he just thinks everyone's wearing workout clothes to get laid.
I guess so.
He puts on a pair of gym shorts and he's like,
Don't
ladies,
take this
I'm
man
ready.
to a gym.
Yeah.
And I argued with him. I just gave up when I said, if I wear workout clothes to exercise and lose weight to be healthier, am I trying to get a man's attention? And he said yes.
Dude, this
That was
guy has the worst set of beliefs of anyone.
Truly the worst.
But also, like, I feel like this is a surprising amount of people that have these kinds of
Yeah.
beliefs. Not in our circles, but
No, but like a lot of people do think this, and I'm like,
dude, get a grip.
get a grip. That was that. If there was any respect in me left for that man, it's now completely gone. Plus, he spent the whole weekend disrespecting his wife and insulting her. And despite how awkward I feel around her, I wish I'd known what kind of person my dad was 3 years ago, so I could have told her to leave him when she had the chance to. No woman deserves a man as awful as my dad. Yeah, why is this other woman putting up with him?
Maybe he like shows a different side of himself to her or something.
doesn't sound like he has any good side. And I'm sure some of you noticed what I put in the title. I now feel like I no longer have any father figure at all in my life. No, the stepdad?
No.
What?
And here's why. Weeks ago, I got into a little bit of a debate with my mom about adopted kids. I told her I didn't want to give birth as an adult and would rather adopt. And she said I shouldn't bring another person's dirty kids into my home. And she said it would be hard to love grandkids that didn't look like me.
Oh my gosh. What?
Damn, both your parents suck.
Oh.
That's really tough. I know it's kind of a weird conversation for a 16-year-old to have. I recently turned 16 this summer. Congrats. But it came up anyway. When I asked for my dad's opinion, I found what is probably the real reason he doesn't want to adopt me. He told me that he doesn't think adopted kids can be loved the same way as blood kids.
Oh my gosh.
And now the stepdad sucks too. He said adopted children aren't as lovable. And I realized that despite calling me his daughter and talking about me and how much he loves me, he doesn't love me as much as his birth kids. And also, I have lost all respect for him after this past weekend. There was a lot of stuff that happened in my family, and my mom tried to blind me from all of it, so my cousins are my only source of information. I spent the weekend with my oldest cousins, 21 female, and another one of my cousins, 20 female, and I ranted to them about what my stepdad had said. After that, they told me something that made me feel more disgusted and betrayed than I've ever felt before.
I can't with this story. It just
Why
keeps
are they
getting
all awful?
so bad.
Opie has no adults in her life that are, good. This really sucks. My stepdad cheated on my mom a few years back. And she stayed with him. The reason my mom divorced Eric was due to his infidelity, but she chose to forgive my stepdad and never told me about it, letting me continue to live with a man who did the same thing that Eric did to her. Eric's cheating ruined my life, and I don't think I can look at my stepdad the same way again. Damn. Before the past weekend, I was laughing with my stepdad and hanging out with him. Now I'm glad my mom is having me spend time with my grandma because it means I have more time to process all of this before I have to see him again. I'm a junior in high school now. I'm planning to work harder on online jobs, applying for scholarships, and more so that I'm ready to get away from all of this as soon as I get to college. If anything else major happens, I'll update again, but this is it for now. I know I'm not the jerk. I'm just the one who has to deal with a ton of unfair crap. Damn. But it's not unfair. Joining us live every weekday at 3 p.m. PST. Just tap our profile.
I'm sad.
Damn. This was such a sad ending.
This ended terribly.
Terribly.
So what's our advice to OP? Like, it seems like everyone's deserting her. Like,
I feel like you, unfortunately,
but again, she's 16.
She's 16. She goes to online school. So it seems like you said that you do have some other friends and stuff. So I guess, try and rely on those friends who do love you and are there for you.
Sucks though, because it's like she really doesn't have any familial support structure.
No. Literally everyone in her life has been letting her down.
Maybe like aunts, uncles, anyone.
Maybe, if you have any extended family.
Talking to the counselor could be good too, but yeah, it's like,
well, she can't because she's on online school.
Well, but you could do like an online session with the counselor.
I think they would. The counselor, unless you tell them that your life is in danger or you're putting someone else's life in danger, I don't think they're allowed to tell anything to your parents. Yeah, honestly, I feel like you just kind of have to rely on your friends, if you can, the counselor, and just wait until you can get to college.
God, this
really sucks though.
You know what doesn't suck?
This next story. I've been with him for a decade and now he repulses me. I'm a female 32 and my now ex-male 40 have been together just over a decade and have 3 kids together. From the beginning of our relationship, he cheated on me a lot with all of my close friends and anyone connected to us.
Sounds like a great dude.
Sounds like a nice guy.
Great start.
I was stupid enough to stick around, and honestly, there wasn't any signs or behaviors that showed he was anything but faithful and loving for about 2 years now, except for the beginning part. Well, yesterday I saw something pop up on one of his devices and I spent all night thinking about it and ended up going through his phone. And you know what I say? When you go through someone's phone, better be prepared for the relationship to be over.
Yep. Regardless
of what you find or not. By the way, this comes from Deep Understanding 32 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. And this is one of our own.
This is an r/OK Storytime
This
fan?
is r/.
Let's go.
Judge me all you want. I'm glad I did. I found out that when he goes to work, he works away. He has been meeting up with call girls and paying them for sloppy toppies or raw dogs. So roughly $200 to $500 each time.
Yo, is that expensive or is that
Well,
is
I
that
feel like that's
going price?
market rate.
Is that market? I don't think that's market rate.
I don't know. He could get it for free.
That's
He
true.
could get it for free, girl.
Market market rate for sloppy toppies gotta be like it can't be $500.
I don't know.
It's gotta be like yeah. Jellybus says it depends on the area. Any sex workers in the chat know what the
market
rate
rate
is? The market rate is.
I recently found out someone that I know used to be a spicy sleep worker and would for like $15.
She's underselling.
Yeah, that's what I said.
$15?
$15. This was a while back in like the 90s or early 2000s.
Damn.
Not someone we know.
No, someone I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like that's below market rate.
Yeah, definitely.
$15, that doesn't make sense.
Even with inflation.
Even with inflation.
No, this is back in the day.
I know, even with inflation.
Yeah, even in the 90s.
Yeah. I only went back a year before I stopped looking and saw he had been doing this the whole time. I think he meets them on Facebook dating. I can't be sure because I've seen that on his phone and I'm just connecting the dots. How gross is that? I'm actually repulsed. I also have seen well over 50 women on his Snapchat with daily
50?
chats. All schmexual.
Oh my God.
There were women who were having housing trouble. He was sending money to. Anything you can think of, this man was doing it.
Oh wow, really just helping the unhoused population. Like,
I hate him so much.
You gotta help where you can.
I'm so sorry to our OK fam.
What? You're sorry that he's putting people up in houses? He's helping people on the streets?
Yeah.
Have a more stable life?
Including hiring a girl to share around with his mates.
Ooh.
This man sucks so much.
He's just giving them free drinks?
Who I'm pretty sure have wives. Yes, we are broken up and I am sorting things out to move, but the reason I'm writing this is because I know there's some poor girl out there with a heart full of love to give, and there are men who you think will change and they will get the happy ever after. But respect yourself and your time. They are not worth the damage they will cause you in the long run. I held on to hope that never existed, and I know now that it was me seeing someone who wasn't there. Be better than me, you deserve it. Now I don't know what lies ahead for me, but I'm excited, scared, and I feel free. I will be free.
My God.
And that's the end of that story.
Oh. Emma Worm Queen's Knight says, I know a couple, they charge $300 an hour Canadian.
Damn.
Wow.
That's for two people.
Rate.
So 150.
Oh, I know I know a couple. Not I know a couple.
Oh. No, they charge.
What do they charge for 5 seconds?
Like I know a couple of spicy workers.
I don't know. I think
It's not a
Like,
parent.
I know a
Emma Worm
couple.
Queen's Knight, clarify.
No,
You know
I
a
think
couple of spicy sleep
Yeah.
workers that charge $300, or you know a pair,
No.
like a couple, like they're like a boyfriend girlfriend that charge $300 an hour
No.
Canadian.
Wrong.
Does that have to be an hour?
Yeah, can it be in 15 minutes?
Can it be like a minute? It takes 45 seconds to take my clothes off.
But that's where this episode ends. So if you love us, make sure to subscribe.
We love you
And see you tomorrow.